we're smart. They don't like that we have access to information. So they're trying their
Speak
best.
for yourself, being smart.
So they try their best, push it down. It's just not going to work. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. You can't tell me that there's 2.5 shorts, and then in the next sentence tell me you can't attain any of the.
Well, if it's true, I mean, to go along with your thought, if it's only 2.5 million, why couldn't they settle it up? Why couldn't they solve the problem?
Of course, that's another point. This is the reason why they can't get away with this, because we think too far ahead. They think they're thinking way far ahead of us. No, we just need to get that information. Once we have it, you guys are done. They're holding on. They're holding on to it for dear life. But we have a Ralph Norman. We have Congress. We have people that signed the letter. Exactly. They now have the power to subpoena the brokers, subpoena SEC. I can't believe that the SEC didn't even come back with a comment yet. That's how scared you are.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, if you don't mind, let me go ahead and read this statement. I was looking for this. It says, talking specifically about use of social media and things like that. And we all know that if this had happened 10 years ago, this community would not exist. And even 5 years ago, I think that we owe a debt of gratitude to Elon Musk for what he's created with this platform. But it says investors' use of social media to make investment decisions is an area of concern for particularly because this information may be incomplete, misleading, or false. First of all, how dare they assume why we made our investments? They're making the presumption that we made our investment decisions based on what they've said before are, pump and dumpers on the internet. How dare they presume that? We, of course, know that people who invested Torch over a decade ago. Was it being pumped back then? No, we know, of course, with Atlas, it was at some point. But 10 years ago, was it being pumped and things like that? But how ridiculous of them to, presume that we lack the intellectual capability to do our own DD. And I personally found that offensive. But I did not get into this because of a pump or whatsoever.
Well, go ahead.
They use buzzwords, exactly what you just said. They're going to use they work because they worked for them in the past. They're just not going to work now. You can't just keep spouting the same shit all day long. Eventually, you got to come up with an answer. This is why with their response, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully everybody sees that on the higher ups.
They use buzzwords
it's
from.
A way of diminishing the community. It's the exact same way that FINRA or Forbes and Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal categorize MMTLP as a meme stock. It's their way of passive aggressively diminishing the intellectual and skills of this community. And I think, and I say this all the time to people. I said this to Dennis Neal when he tried to say to me, well, maybe it is only 2.65. I said to him, and I just lost what I said to him. Oh, this is what I said to him. I said, then why have they done everything that they've done since then? Doesn't that prove our thesis correct?
Oh, we don't have, but
why have they gone to these extraordinary lengths? Why is a magazine of Forbes, I'm going to hesitate to say prestige, but at one point it was, why are they investing time and funds and resources for over 6 months to
You're right about that.
With a ticker that doesn't exist?
You're right about that answer, but I would also add, we don't have to go on a maybe. We can go on a definite. Once we get the information, we can get a definitive answer. So there's no.
Anthony, where'd you go? Lost you.
Hello?
And they can get that definite answer.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We lost you for a minute.
I was just saying that your answer is correct, but also we don't have to go on a maybe. We can go on a definitive answer by getting the information on what the share count is. So there's no reason for a discussion. When Dennis says, what if there is 2.5 million? My answer would be, what if there's 600 million? We don't know. We don't have to go on a what if.
That's exactly right. They always say you can't prove what you're saying, but they can't prove their point either.
Exactly. That's my point. That's why I spit it right back in their face. Well, what if there's 600 million? What if there's 200 million?
Exactly.
There's no need to go on a what if we're in 2024 and it's simple. It's a button push to get the information.
Exactly.
They can end.
Well, it's a phone call, Anthony. It's literally calling up the broker and saying, okay, how many open long positions do you have? Okay, thanks.
Exactly.
It's that simple. That's what we're asking for. And then for those results to be audited, right? And so, but they haven't proven to us that there's 2.6, this mystery investigation. Well, our data, the data that you say that you can't claim, that you can't get. So no, it's completely double speak. And I think it just goes to prove it by all of them.
The amounts constantly. All right, that's my rant for the morning. I have my book.
Awesome. So, Junk.
No worries. We'll punch your rant card for you. And, pull back your soapbox. No worries.
So, Junk.
But I will also say, guys, is that, everything that we have been through, it's been historic. It's been unprecedented. FINRA issuing a fact response, releasing the correspondence with Nextbridge because they thought that would make them look good. The pay-to-play articles, Kramer, gas bag, all of this has been completely unprecedented. FINRA and the SEC and behind closed door meetings refusing to give up a share count. Why are they refusing? If it's only 2.65, where's the share count? Where's your evidence? You say we don't have any evidence. Where's yours? Show us your methodology. Show you how you came up with it. I explained our methodology for our share count. Where's yours? Anyway, let's go to Retha, guys. I know Retha has some comments as well. So go ahead, Retha.
Hi, Junk Savy. I just want to say thanks for letting me talk here. I did send you a DM, and I also
I just saw that.
Oh, that's great. I just wanted to touch base just on a couple things here. With the MMTLP, I just want to be upfront that I'm not involved in the MMTLP, but I am significantly involved in AMC, GME, BBBY, and all the rest of them. And I've been in the market since the mid-'80s, so I go way back. I've been on Reddit from years ago. I was there with when Buy Button was shut down and all the rest of it. I really, really feel for every one of you that are invested in MMTLP. We've lost money on our side. You guys have yours locked up and you can't get it back. I just wanted to just ask a couple things and just to kind of go over a couple things. Have you requested or can you find the historical information for MMTLP? And can you see the fail to deliver reports? Have you been able to look at the fail to delivers?
Because so MMTLP was actually on the threshold security list for over 40 days.
Okay.
So for FINRA to make assertions that there's no evidence there was significant naked short positions, of course, guys, and you said this, Retha, and I've talked about this many times. All naked shorts are not failure to delivers, but failure to delivers are all naked shorts. They are positions without locates.
That's correct.
Now, a naked short has the potential to locate, but an FTD has failed to locate. And so the fact that they're saying there's no evidence of a significant short position, what about the 40 days it's set on the threshold security list?
Right.
So yes, we do have data on that, Retha.
Okay, that's really good because the other thing that I wanted to just kind of make a note of was there was a speaker on here earlier, non-locality guy.
He's still here.
Yeah, I saw him on the phone here. He was speaking about the dark pools. We've done a lot of research in regards to dark pools and trading on the markets and stuff. And I'm going to use Citadel as an example because Citadel are a bunch of badasses. So the dark pools were initially set up. There's probably more between like 50 and 60 at least right now, probably more in the US alone right now. That are set up. Citadel has a dark pool. Citadel is a market maker. Citadel has their own swap department, and they have all their own derivatives and things like that. So it's a major conflict of interest because they see data from everybody. So the dark pools aren't just trading stocks in there. They're trading, the derivative swaps options in there. Oh, sorry. I'm house sitting. I have a puppy attacking something here. So everything is trading within those dark pools right now. So the dark pools were meant to match a buy and a sell. The dark pools are massively defrauding, basically. I'm just going to say everybody in there right now. The thing that's really, really hard is that in 2008, when the market crashed, a loophole was left open with the SEC for market makers. And market makers have the dark pools there to create liquidity. But some of the stats that I pulled over all the years, and even back in early 2021, Citadel was 65 billion in debt just in their
sold, not purchased.
yes, sold not located. And I just put out some stats there a few weeks ago, and I went back through it as well. And I used Melvin Capital as well, because Melvin Capital was on the opposite ends of the trades from Citadel. And we know that Melvin Capital had been shorting GME since back in 2014. And Melvin was going bankrupt and stuff because the price of GME went up. And that's when they shut off the buy button 3 years ago on January 28th. So the dark pools, I wanted to mention something else too, that the dark pools, what they're doing is they're basically collecting all the orders, and then when they have these big, huge blocks of orders, they're trading them through the dark pools. And the dark pools actually are just like they are. It's called like the dark side of trading. It's not on the lit side of the market. So anything that's done in the dark pools does not affect any market prices that are going on. So that's why all these massive corporations have these dark pools, and they're doing all this massive trading in the back. You can go back and look at the AMC and the GME side of things, and there's 60 to 70% of the trades just for AMC are going through the dark pools. And in December, I don't know how many millions upon millions upon millions of failed to delivers we have. Plus, you know, the amount of stuff that's trading in the dark pool, we can't do anything. Kenny Griffin, that owns Citadel, said publicly that the market makers are the ones that are establishing market price. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. The other thing that is coming up too, May 28th this year, if those of you that are in the market may know that settlement date is usually trade plus 2. So if you buy something on Monday, it'll settle like on the Wednesday. If you buy something on Wednesday, it'll settle on Friday. Yeah. And I posted that out, I think, on one of the previous calls that I was on with MMTLP, that trade plus 1 will be implemented by the SEC on May 28th of this year. So that will hopefully help some of the issues with the trading and the settlement here. The other thing I just wanted to mention too is that we pay the SEC and FINRA. If you guys go back and you look at your trades, if you look on your screens, you'll see the percentage of every trade that you make goes to the SEC. The SEC and FINRA, we know what's going on there. There's a lot of work to be done. You know, we want more transparency. Family offices are the ones that are, you know, working with Bill Gates and all these multi-billionaires where they don't have to pay taxes and do everything else, and nothing is basically reported by them, and a lot of hedge funds as well. So we're hoping to get clarification on that. And right now, a lot of the hedge funds are trying to sue the SEC because of this transparency thing. Something that we have on our side is, I'm not going to mention a name. I'm not, you know, I like the information he provides. His name's AMC Biggums. He's brought out a whole bunch of information all these years. He's very, very intelligent. All the banks are connected with it. Yeah. All the banks are connected with what's called ISDA. And I know William and Junk Savy, you guys were chatting a bit ago about what to do with money. The banks are in dire need for people's deposits. If you guys want to ruin the U.S., you know, easily pull all your money and stuff out of the big banks and put it into credit unions. Get out of anything that's connected with ISDA, because it's all these ones that are lending out all your money left, right, and center.
I agree with you.
And the last thing I just kind of wanted to point out too is that, you know, I'm at the point right now where I'm pissed off at the whole entire thing, the manipulation that's been going on, all these kind of things. There's people that have written books, done research work for the SEC, you know, for, you know, 20, 30 years ago, and this stuff is still going on today. There is a way that individuals can look at suing your broker, because your broker is the one that gave you guys the shares, and the brokers are the ones that are supposed to ensure that those shares are real. So there is under AMC Biggums, if you follow him, he doesn't get paid for all this kind of stuff. He does have a YouTube channel. He does a lot of calls with a fellow named Peter Hand from Calgary, Alberta. Peter is a financial whiz. If you guys don't follow him, you might. If you want to follow Biggums, you can. It's a bunch of really good information. They provide financial information from around the world, but these two guys here are honest, upright, forthright, and they've been there. They're telling us kind of, what's going on, and we see what's going on. So I was just going to recommend that. So part of one of the big things that Bigham's put out was within the SEC FINRA stuff is you can actually now go after your brokers for that. The last thing I just wanted to say was that because I've been watching FINRA and Point 72 and Jane Street and all these big institutions for years and years and years, a lot of what they're doing is they're hiding naked shorts within ETFs. And then what they're doing is they're sending a lot of these overseas. And so right now you guys can probably see the buckle down that's going on over in, European countries and Asian countries and stuff. And they're blocking shorting right now. So it is a huge issue. Gary Gensler was just over with the EU talking to them about, the shorts, naked shorts and stuff as well. So yeah, it's a huge thing. It's world known, and keep up the fight. And you guys just do what you can. Write your politicians, and a lot of us say too that it's the ones that are in the government and stuff like that need your attention. It is at Congress right now. Congress can see this. They're demanding answers, and I know with I think it's Bed Bath and Beyond. There's a couple people working on that, and also they've asked for a share count, and I think they've hired through somebody in the background to share intel to find out what the share count is and stuff for BBY and what's
Well, and Rita, we've taken so many of the steps that you're talking about as a community.
Yes, exactly.
We have sent over 50,000 letters and correspondences to Congress. We've had over probably 150 Zoom calls at this point. And so we certainly have, legal options that are being explored. We've definitely taken a lot of those steps, and we appreciate, all the amazing information that you gave. Let me say this really quick. You guys know I've said this before. If you make the financial decision to pull your money out of a large bank, make sure that you do your research on the institution that you're putting it into. Some of these credit unions are indeed owned by these larger banks. And there is a possibility that in a liquidity crunch, they will dissolve these credit unions and strip them of their deposits in order to shore up the big banks. So make sure if you are going to get into a regional bank, into a credit union, that you understand who they are beholden to. And so make sure that you guys do know that.
Thank you. That's a perfect point. I was going to say, I'm up in Canada, so we have different rules up here. Payment priority flow, PFOF is banned up here, but RBC Bank, if you have an account with RBC Bank up here, in your disclosures, when you sign your disclosures to open up accounts with RBC, they're getting paid commissions on trades. So always check to see, even if you have a cash account, if they can actually access your stocks within a cash account and trade those, because there are loopholes with some of the banks and stuff. So just be very cautious. And like Junk Savy says, ensure that you know who owns the credit union if you're on the U.S. side of the border. And the other thing that we have banned up here too is naked shirts are banned on our side, but then when we're trading through the New York Stock Exchange on the U.S. side of things, that's pretty tough. The other thing that we recommend too is if you are doing trading and stuff, is talk to the broker that you belong to and ask them how you can make your trades on that lit market. So, that will affect, the market price. Yeah.
Direct to market trading brokerages.
Wonderful.
Rita, I am sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going
to drop down. Thanks for letting me chat. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be cycling through some of the mics. If you already shared your comment at the top, please go ahead and drop down so that we can give out those mics. I'm going to go to JT, Nikki, Marta, do you have some breaking news? Is that what you were flashing me?
No, she just said something about RBC making a lot through trading commissions. Anyway, I DM'd you, but.
Yeah. Okay, let me look at it. But I want to go to JT, Nikki, and then Odysseus. Thanks for that, Marta. Go ahead, JT. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I kind of wanted to touch on what Anthony was mentioning before, because if, I go back to, I think my first conversations with Darcy in Norman's office was maybe March of last year. And if I was on a Zoom with her, I could imagine the eye rolls she would have been giving me. from that first call. And as she agreed to take more, you could tell that, you know, as a community, the questions that, you know, we were asking that I was putting in front of her, you know, it was almost like FINRA's and the SEC's own ego or arrogance is really what did them in my opinion. Because when congressional staffers, you know, started to compile these questions that, you know, we as a community were asking, and they were going to the SEC and FINRA, I think that's when the light bulb went off from Congress, was that, you know, here's Congress, you know, they have the oversight over essentially the SEC, and, you know, they weren't getting clear responses. And that's really when the momentum started to change, I believe, for this community, was just years and years of arrogance from both, you know, the SEC and FINRA, that, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do and nothing's going to stop them. And this is kind of to the point when I couldn't even read the whole response yesterday. I put it down about halfway through, and the first thing I thought of was, like, they're not going to like this response. And, you know, I got an email from Darcy about an hour or two after the tweet went out. And the last thing, you know, it was a nice email, like, hey, I'm sure you guys have already seen this. Wanted to make sure you have it, but we're already discussing the next steps moving forward. So that kind of set off a little, you know, that gave me a little smile that, you know, that they weren't happy with that. You know, and I think a big part of what we ran into, or I did in the last, you know, months or two, was, you know, I was explaining to Darcy and others, you know, we were almost taking on like a two-front battle. You know, it was the hedge funds or SEC, FINRA, that's one side. But there was a point when almost mainstream legacy media, you know, made a spin, you know, and came, you know, out of the flank and started coming at us too, where, you know, the Forbes article, it was brought up numerous times in meetings I was in with congressional reps. You have, you know, the Fox was kind of split. You know, we've had, you know, CV Payne as an advocate almost since day one, you know, thank you to him. But in the same token, you know, in the Twitter world, we had, you know, Gasparino, you know, and I had to bring up, you know, to some of these staffers, was like, you know, look at who Gasparino rubs elbows with on social media, just a few pictures, and you'll see, you know, his slanted views. And I said, this is a member of the media, and look at the tone of the email or the tweets he was putting out. I mean, we've let him know some of the real hurt and pain this community has taken, and to still be attacked from, you know, these folks, you know, Forbes, look at who they're owned by, you know, and I just felt like as a community, we've really done things the right way here, and we're able to really, you know, hit home with these staffers who then passed on this information to Congress. So, you know, a huge day today. Really excited to hear the podcast later. Just really excited, you know, love when we get these, you know, pots of gold for this community, because God knows we deserve some smiles and some high fives.
Right, absolutely. And JT, I want to give you some appreciation. I didn't realize Ralph Norman was your representative until I just saw your tweet a little bit ago. So, you know, just like a kid, that's my dad. You know, it's
Exactly.
like, that's my congressman. I loved it. So thank you to you for reaching out to him in the early days, you, Alex, and others that did that. So thank you. He has certainly become one of the heroes in this saga, and we look forward to his not only interview today, but his future support. And we did see the tweet from Dennis Neal that Representative Ralph Norman is going to be calling for a subpoena from Chairman Comer, as well as potential hearings on MMTLP. So fantastic work, JT. Really appreciate it. Guys, let's go to Nikki. Nikki Tesaro. Good morning, Nikki. Welcome to the mic.
Hey, good morning. Wow, what a morning it's been, huh? So exciting. Yeah, I feel like this is the catalyst that we needed in order for us to really get the ball rolling. I mean, I'm just so excited. But I was thinking about Rich walking the halls of Congress and how excited he must be feeling, because he's been there for a month. So I sent him a text. And in between a meeting, he replied back, and I want to read it to you. I just got off the phone with him too. He's so excited. So he said, yes, left a meeting in office. They're going to offer their support to Comer's office for subpoena and get behind Norman's request. The office saw repeated things in the 32-page FINRA report and want answers for their constituents. Let's go. You can tell the community, and I'm on to the next meeting. Yeah, he's got to just be celebrating. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I know he had a really important meeting this morning. I'm anxious to hear about that one with a very powerful representative. And I don't know if that's who you're speaking of, but that would be amazing. I've had this guy in my for a long time.
Me too. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, keep up the good work. We really, we've since he's staying next week though, we've really got to get back to setting appointments. I mean, that's continue to celebrate, but we got to get back to work because we really only have one appointment scheduled so far on Tuesday. We have blocked out 2 hours of time for him to be at financial services on Tuesday. That's great, but we got to start working on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just back to it.
Yep, absolutely, Nikki. Up in the nest, guys, you'll find Dr. E's schedule. Please check that out again. Do what we do best. The community's done an amazing job with the assistance of Mardik, Jen Capella, Nikki, Susie, and Dr. E in getting Richie scheduled and making the most of his time out there. And obviously it's having an impact. And what greater time do we have those boots on the ground than when all this news is coming out. So much love to the team that has worked hard, but we've got to do our part, guys, and we've proven that we can do it. So let's make those phone calls and let's get those appointments booked up for next week.
Awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate
yeah.
you. Mardik,
yeah.
And then we'll go to Odysseus. Mardik?
That's okay. Odysseus had his hand up first. You can go.
Okay, Odysseus, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. Yesterday, I wrote a letter to Representative Norman's office, which included a link, which is in my profile, to a Schwab index fund that's listed on July 31st, 2021, that expressly has MMTLP as a symbol in the index. I urge everyone to go to my profile, download that CSV file, follow the instructions with my posts so that you can see for yourself. That screenshot as well so people can see what you're looking for. And that's what I wanted to communicate to the community this morning.
Okay, Odysseus, hang on just a second. I'm trying to get there. Oh, gotcha. You posted this 30 minutes ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have posted this. I posted this about, I don't know, several months ago previously. It didn't get much play, but it's important now, of course, in response to Mr. Cook's letter.
Yeah, let me, I'm trying to get it up into the nest, Odysseus. Give me just a second to find your handle, unless you want to do that for me. It's up to you, though.
It would be easier for you to do it given my circumstances.
Okay.
You want me to just put it in the nest? I'll throw it up there.
Oh, I'm getting it. Give me just a second. Hang on. Investing. There you are. I just had to find you. That's all. So let's see. Yesterday I sent a letter. Okay, guys, this is going up into the nest. We're going to give you a little bit of homework for our conversations over the weekend and on Monday. So thank you for posting that, Odysseus, and just some appreciation out to you as well. Little birdies have told me all the work that you're doing in the background. And so really appreciate your efforts on behalf of the community as well. And I know that we enlisted your help a little bit with helping us out with some clearing partners. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Hope everyone has a great day. Thank you very much.
You too. I think it is a great day. And we still have information to come, guys. Mardik, go ahead.
Hey, so let's just kind of go back to what Nikki was talking about in terms of Rich's schedule for next week. So, yeah, it's, what is it, 4 over in the nest from the left now? It's, I believe that's the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, the fight continues. Fizz is staying. If you go to that post, you will see 2 links, one for a morning schedule, one for an afternoon. Now, last week when Dr. E had proposed this idea for the calendar, I had to, immediately I was like, this is great. Like, we should be able to get Richie's week booked up by the end of the weekend. Well, I was wrong. And so what I've been stressing to people is that we don't want to be chasing the schedule, right? So the sooner we can get them booked, the better, because reps are going to try and schedule their week obviously ahead of time. So for today, I'm not sure if Rich still has an open slot for 5. Last I checked, he did. But I thought it would be a good idea is if even today we can focus on getting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday booked in the morning for him. That way we've got a little bit of breathing room come Monday, right? So, and reps will be looking to book out their week. Sunday, we had a lot of success in emails getting meetings booked up this past Sunday. So just to remember, like, you're going to have an easier time getting meetings booked earlier, right? Don't chase the schedule. Don't, I can get, I have so many days until Tuesday. I can get that booked. Don't worry. And then you procrastinate and you put it off, and then they already have their schedule booked up. Right. So then, it's tough to get your rep in there to see them. So yeah, just, be a little bit proactive with it today if you can. And over the weekend, please reach out with emails, because honestly, the more we get him set up, yesterday was great because he was fully booked and I didn't have to worry about anything. We could, focus on the news that came out, right? How like life. The one day that Richie was fully booked, that we weren't chasing the schedule, the FINRA response comes out. So we were actually able to jump on it and tear it apart and respond like immediately, right? So, just a thought, food for thought to kind of, get everybody on the ball for next week. The sooner it gets done, the more time we'll have to talk about other stuff. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Marta. Thanks, Nikki. Okay, guys, I just posted a few things in the nest. Not only did I put a DCS's research there, I also put a post by Rare DD. Of course, we've mentioned him already. He put out that 40-minute video. I'm looking forward to watching, but also put a post.
So good.
Yeah. I also put a post about why, he put a post up about why did FINRA, we noticed this yesterday immediately, why did they copy and paste their supplemental fact response twice? So you guys can check that out. We will give you some homework again over the weekend. But of course, we did notice the last, about 15 pages. It appears that somebody may have just copied and pasted by accident. But maybe there was more to it than that. So certainly a question that needs to be asked. So you guys can check that out. And yes, I did see Richie was in here for a bit. I'm sure just checking in on the conversation, and then he's off to another meeting. So a lot of love to Richie. Hey, William, I wanted to get back and let's see, it is 12 o'clock. We, of course, are headed into Trader Lunch. It is Friday. I can imagine the Martini Mafia are ordering those martinis on tap. And going for the liquid lunch today, but we shall see. And so keep your eyes and ears open during Trader Lunch. Of course, you see the little volume drop off, and then of course there could be some volatility. So anyways, they will be back in about an hour. And for those of you that are choosing to trade the markets right now, make sure that you are doing your own DD, that you're consulting your financial advisor as needed, and you're making good choices. So I am more than willing to go here for a little bit longer. We have not covered all of the issues in the FINRA or the FINRA response. But one, to me, William, that I found completely ridiculous, and we kind of touched on it with Anthony, is that in one sentence they say that the information they put out is not for the retail investors and that it can be confusing. They were specifically talking about the daily list where they report their corporate actions, something to the language of, this is traditionally for industry insiders and not for retail.
So they're actually there to protect the industry insiders.
So then they say that, but even though you guys read the corporate action, which is obvious because we brought it up, for over a year, that you guys should have been smart enough to know that the 8th was the last day. We have certainly heard that from the shills that enter our community from time to time. Well, you guys should have known. You should have known. You should have known. Well, it's either we're too dumb or we're too smart. Which is it, William?
Well, in my case, I'm too dumb. In your case, you're too smart.
No, not at all.
I saved a couple of things before you quit. I don't know if you are, but it's interesting. They put in their footnote, typically in securities lending, cash or securities issued in connection with a dividend would be made to the current holder of the shares. The borrower is required to provide the lender the equivalent value of the dividend. Cash distributions are paid by the borrower to the lender. Well, that seems to be the crux of the issue, isn't it? The longer they delay, that value is just going up, up, up.
Yeah. I just want to say something about that, William. Somebody reached out to me and mentioned that there were conversations about how a dividend will render a share count. That is not necessarily and historically not true. So typically, if NextBridge, for example, were to issue a dividend, that the brokers can give the cash equivalent to that dividend and put that in your accounts without ever there being a share count of any kind. Of course, NextBridge would issue their cash dividend based on the certificate allotment to their registered shareholders in AST, and then whatever remaining seats on the bus, as we call it,
right,
that brokers have, they would be distributed that money, but that does not render a share count. And so because what the brokers will do,
you know,
for example,
Savvy,
dividend, they'll just drop the money into your account. You'll never know the
do
difference.
you know Joanna's percentage participation in the voluntary share count?
Percentage, yes. So we captured approximately 6,500 accounts reported to our share count.
Wow.
Now, if there is indeed 65,000 potential investors, and that, of course, guys, is based on the number of investors that reported as during the Torch merger, reverse merger. I have actually seen data that demonstrates that it is closer to 90 to 100,000. But if you go on the information that we have, we captured 1% of the total potential shareholders in MMT.
Oh, so it's very low. I thought it was high. It's very
extremely low. Yeah, and the fact that we've been able to, with just those, let me pull up the numbers really quick, guys. So the fact that we have been able to, with just less than 1% of the total potential accounts and shareholders, capture as many shares that we have of the 165.5 speaks volume. And it's also very compelling circumstantial evidence that this problem is so much bigger. So let me go through the numbers again really quick, guys, and we'll get to the fact. So the total shares as of Russ and my last update, that our community, like I said, just less than 1% of the total potential shareholders in MMTLP captured almost 70 million shares. And that does include the whales, but their shares need to be tabulated as well. So with less than
right now,
we've captured almost 50% of the total issued shares in MMTLP.
Okay, all right, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so it is pretty compelling information, but also, what I shared, William, that with just 30% of the potential total investors in TradeStation, we already caught them 102+% over their allotments. That tells you that TradeStation's in even deeper. And, if TradeStation, these practices that TradeStation went through with lending out shares that they did not have locates for, that they didn't have, creating those counterfeit and naked share positions, I guarantee if TradeStation's doing it, other brokers are doing it as well. Speaking of that, William.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what an election is in stock talk? I don't mean an election in voting for somebody. Do you know what the term election means? Let me give you the context. Oh, Daniel, you're correct. I'm sorry, guys. 6,500, that's less than 10%. Thank you. Thank you, Gatto. Gary, I messed up on the math. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me go find it really quick. Hang on just a second. Somebody sent this to me. Let me find it. Yeah, but can you answer that question for it? I'll find it, guys. What an election is an election by any chance the lending of a share?
I don't have enough context, but I would assume an election could be, do you want your shares in street name or in your name? Do you want your shares? I don't know your context, but that would be my initial view, is that election is how do you want your shares?
So listen to this, William. And guys, I'm going to get permission. Hang on just a second. So let me, hang on. I'm going to get permission to repost this. So it looks like one of our shareholders received this message. William, can you help me decipher this?
Yes, ma'am.
Says, regarding your request to surrender 150,000 NextBridge shares to AST, request on 12/28. Please be informed that as of 1/21/24, we received information that we are not yet able to submit instructions for processing as we are waiting for previous elections to be reconciled still.
All right, that's in my opinion, it's election for either delivery or election to have the shares converted to NextBridge. In other words, shareholders have to elect, I want to receive the NextBridge shares. That's my opinion of what that says.
Well, here's where it kind of veers off for me. It says, we are waiting for previous elections to be reconciled still.
Well, so that means people.
This is not this is a broker that uses a much larger clearing firm that has been opening windows of transfer. So here's my question, William. If they are not over their allotment, why do they have to wait until previous transfer to AST need to be reconciled?
Well, I think they are over their allotment and they're having a hard time fulfilling the requests. It was interesting I think it was your call or somebody's call. They were somebody said that they received their NextBridge shares by FedEx and then they had to send them to AST to get that registered. And that got my mind thinking, because other companies do that way. Is that a way of just moving it sort of in a shuffle down the road? There's not enough shares out there, Junk. And I don't know which brokerage firm you're talking about, but if they have a large position, they're probably one of the big players in the 104, 105 broker dealers. I doubt they have enough shares to honor their request. So that's just a prevarication on their part, probably.
So I do have permission to share, and I will be posting this communication. Thank you for that. But I need to redact it and all that good kind of stuff. But guys, this is a brokerage firm that clears through Apex. Surprise, surprise. So, but William, what this is saying to me is they cannot process a transfer because they need to check and make sure that they actually have the shares.
You
have to check and make sure and reconcile that you have the shares. That's a problem.
I mean, the only legitimate area would be if they're waiting, as you've discussed in other stocks, for a bulk certificate to show up in street name, and then they can subdivide that. That might have had a little bit of delay, but not a month.
Well, the clearing firm that is processing these is not doing paper certs. So it's all being done.
It's all electronic now, so they can
Yeah,
defraud.
no, I think this might be another crack in the dam.
I agree
But,
with you.
I will put that out, and I'm sure that we will discuss this, but it appears that one of the firms that clears through Apex is denying transfer because previous.
What's the
requests
date
for
on that
transfer
letter?
to be reconciled.
What's the date on that letter?
Let's see, that was received on the 3rd of January.
This year.
Yes.
Oh God, I think you're exactly right. That's over a year later. Come on.
Yeah, and guys, I think we're going to see more and more of this as we get closer and closer to filling the boat at AST.
There's also going to be pointing fingers at other broker dealers, at prime brokers, at the other side of trades. Hey,
Yeah.
we settled that trade with our client. They promised the shares. You're going to see it break apart. This monolithical idea of Wall Street will end at some point. You've got 105 broker dealers going along with it now. How long will, let's say, Davenport Securities out of Richmond, Virginia, go along with Goldman Sachs Prime Brokerage? They might have 200 shares. They don't want to be part of this problem. So you're going to see that coalition fall apart too.
Yeah, guys, hang on just a second. Somebody just sent me what elections mean. It says elections mean settlement options. So yeah, that's exactly my point. What is left to be reconciled?
That's what I was.
Everything was basically determined when that allotment list. And if you are within bounds, by the way, this is the first time, William, I've seen this kind of talk from this clearing firm. If you are out of bounds, there should be no problem with processing any and all transfer requests.
Absolutely.
But the fact that they're delaying it for quote unquote reconciliation indicates to me there's a problem. And
I think
know that Apex is a problem.
I think they're right. I think the election is how you want to receive your shares and where, all that. I think that's right.
Let's go with John Bowen really quick. Go ahead, John.
Well, my thought is, number one, you're addressing the word toward a retailer's ideology and position of what the word means. So step back, go into the broker's crooked arena and look at their word of what they're trying to do. They can't clear, a broker can't clear because the clearinghouse determines when, how, and they can't front run trades that could mean anything from a penny to several hundreds or thousands of dollars a share in savings by having a broker who has only 10 shares over, or maybe he has an even amount and somebody else needs to buy his shares to cover the unbalance in the other guy. The clearinghouse is going to help out them, not us, with the election.
Okay, John, hang on. When it comes specifically to MMTLP, there's no more front running. There's no more horse trading behind the scenes. That's why and I've talked about this a little bit before. There is great significance to when that allotment list was released. That locked in all certificates at these clearing firms and brokers. They are no longer allowed to trade them behind the scenes. They are locked in. We saw that with TradeStation. And by locking in those certificates at those individual brokers and clearing firms, it severed all locates and made every single position not backed by a cert a naked short. And so when we talk about TradeStation and we only proved 2% naked shorts, no, we didn't.
We proved 102%. Every share over a certificated allotment is a naked short because it can no longer be located. And so John, I need you to keep your mute on until I call on you because I'm getting enormous feedback. And so for them to say that there needs to be some horse trading for this to go on, they're not allowed to horse trade. It's locked in. The DTC with the AST allotment locked it in. And so I think there's a little bit something more to this. Go ahead, John.
Well, like I said, that demands and assumes the laws will be followed. And if we have learned anything at all, they are 100% in guaranteed breaking the law just to receive a fine. If they can save hundreds, thousands of dollars per share and get fined $10 a share, a penny on the dollar, they're going to break the laws. That is a guarantee, and we have it in the evidence file safe room by the millions. Look at Alpine, 40-something thousand violations, and they still haven't removed them. And I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I understand your premise, but I'm saying it won't happen like that. There's no reason to believe it'll happen like that.
When you
they're not going to follow the law. They're not going to.
John, when you say that it won't happen like that, I didn't propose a way. We know that we're seeking a resolution, which, by the way, Hester Pierce says they don't know what the hell they're going to do. So, yes, we know they break the law. They do it all the time. But my point was that Apex or this broker is saying that we're waiting for reconciliation. There's no reconciliation to be had. There's no more horse trading to be had. These brokers are not transferring certs, covering locates and all this type of stuff. That was also something that was brought up in the FINRA fact. So, but also Richard Hoffman did say that he had sources claiming that maybe there will be some accountability, that TradeStation is potentially the subject of a criminal fraud investigation.
Richard Hoffman is just asking, why not sue Apex?
Oh, no, absolutely, William. I think that there are going to be lawsuits against these brokers, counter brokers, and clearing firms. Absolutely. There's enormous ability to go right there.
Hey, Junk, can there be the lawsuits if they give us a foul? And this is just a number to express my point. Can there be lawsuits to sue these people if they do what I'm suggesting, break the law, and they give you $1,000 per share settlement and you sign NDA? There's going to be no lawsuits. They're not going to investigate. They're not going to arrest anybody.
I don't necessarily agree with that, John. I think that time will tell. I think that there have certainly been criminal prosecutions for nefarious market activity and manipulation. But I see your point. If there is some sort of settlement at whatever value, and of course you as an individual have to decide if that's what you want, there probably will be a process by which you surrender your rights to sue. But it all depends on the indemnification and what it covers. And if you don't want to sign it, don't sign it. But again, we're talking about something that's not even on the table at this point. So
okay, I'm going to give you one more thing and I'll quit. There is all the time, and I had to endure this. The airport authority came and it was national news. One man, they took over by eminent domain territory in my neighborhood. The noise ordinance was over the decibel allowed by the FAA and the other agencies, government, whatever, EPA, and all these other people, okay? And they took the land illegally, okay? They then, after that, had a class action lawsuit, and they sent me a proposal. I could accept the $700 for the violation to occur every day over my home with the noise ordinance, or opt out of the class action. You know what? I cannot go back and sue them even though I opted out. So in many of these situations, when you decide not to participate, you're screwing yourself. I got news for you.
Okay, Tom, mute your mic for me. Then when that reconciliation opportunity is put on the table, let's discuss it then. As of right now, there's nothing on the table. So, but I do know that the lawyers have spoken many times about there were many layers of harm done to us, that there were, there's multiple sources of liabilities here that can be pursued. And so again, if that's what people choose to do with direct action or such, then that's something that they need to discuss with their attorneys. So really quick, guys, just want to remind everyone, up in the nest. Oh, guys, I just Secret Star got blocked to Gasparina, so thanks for that. I appreciate it. But guys, I just received information. Captain Insane with his tweet that says, if Fox News allows one Gasparina to insult, call names like moron stupid, I no longer wish to watch Fox News except for Charles Payne. If you guys go to and do a Google search on Fox News MMTLP, he made Google. So, guys, MMTLP, FINRA fraud are all trending right now. So let's get up into the nest, grab those tweets. Let's continue to get our message out there. People are paying attention and enjoy the gloriousness of the day. So, William, how are you doing? Are you good?
I'm good. I've got about 5 responses to some of the comments made that I can go through quickly because I tried to be quiet.
Yeah, go ahead. And guys, I'm sorry I've not been able to get to the chat. We've of course had a very lively space today, and of course there's so many issues that we have not.
Yeah, it's difficult to cover everything in one call, but in terms of John's last point, I agree with him wholeheartedly. I think whenever a settlement is offered, one of the primary issues is going to be to get the entire class of investors to sign off on that deal. Otherwise, money won't be distributed. They need a release. Secondly, to your point, Junk Savy, much earlier, you were questioning how could FINRA question our reasons for investing. I would turn that around a little bit as well, and say, why is it okay for the criminals to sell non-existent shares, collude with each other, manipulate the stock price for years, destroying the market cap, and they never question their motives for selling? The other thing you said, Junk, is you pointed out that this guy, Robert Crook, was talking about misinformation on social media. Well, the fact is his letter is full of misinformation. And then another guy, I'm trying to remember who, brought up that they're talking about pump and dump and ideas like that. Those are terms that are over 40 years old. They're trying to bring ghosts of Christmas past instead of reality today. Meme stocks that's a new one, but the rest of them are all old issues. And then my final point, I really went through them very quickly for me, is I think if we trade these stocks, we have to get away from the idea that you can buy and hold. It's very hard to trade, and I'm not a day-to-day trader, but you can't just sit there like a lamb for the slaughter. That's it, Junk. Those were some of the comments I wrote down. Are you there? Is anyone there?
Oh, Sorry.
Have I
Good
been
morning,
cut off?
Welcome to the mic.
I've been banned forever.
No. I'm here. Lowell, welcome to the mic.
Good morning, Junk and William. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah, there was a point that non-locality brought up that I'm going to sound like a broken record on this, but and that's my first point, and then I have a second point. But the first point is that, and I think this highlights how amazing this community is. It's somebody that's been following, but really hasn't said anything at all up till now. And what he said is how effective this movement has become. And that the structure of this will probably seed out into multiple things that honestly don't even really have to do with Wall Street, but just this bigger picture. So first point is for the community. It's a pat on the back because we've been highly effective. We've made waves through Congress and social media. And that kind of bridges to my second point, which is about the response and how they there.
Yeah,
and
dropped out for a second.
My internet. Gosh, I've been having that issue the last few days. My second point is about what they allude to in social media. And a lot of people will take that as a shot towards us. The way that I see it, I always take a step back. If people have been paying attention for a long time, even before somebody like a President Trump came up, there's been a large constitutional crisis going on in terms of free speech. And pre-2016, the internet was a little more wide open where you could get news out there. And then there was this chokehold that was put on social media. And only now with the prior Twitter, now X, do we have the ability to spread that news. And I would argue that the people that are supporting us lean towards understanding this constitutional crisis and understanding the effectiveness of specifically the X platform. So when FINRA tries to take a shot at us, and demean us, gaslight us, what they're really doing, and JT pointed this out, they are throwing gasoline on the fire of Congress, because what this truly highlights is this broader picture of you have these people with an elitist way of thinking. They have their mainstream media that they say this is gospel and that's it. Anyone else shouldn't have an opinion, doesn't have an opinion, we can delete you, it doesn't matter. And the people that are in our corner, they truly understand that issue. So I think this is going to throw massive fuel on the fire. It's a slap in the face to all the staffers that have been listening, the legislative aides, Congress himself. And I think it's really gonna push this ball. And then kind of my final point, and Anthony kind of alluded to this, where he was talking about confidence and leadership. I would argue if you go back and look at nation states that have closed down, and don't worry, I'm going to make this a nice, easy point. But if you go back and look at nation states have closed down, when confidence in the system breaks down and the social contracts fall away, that's when things fall apart. And that's what this truly is. The confidence in Wall Street and confidence in the system. And I think that
And the dollar.
along with the free speech crisis, is going to be dragging. It's going to drag all of this into one thing. And I truly believe that. And the last thing, William, on your live streams, as a country music artist, please continue to sing old country music.
That's the good stuff. To add to your list of faith, it's the dollar too. Yeah, they'll lose faith in the dollar. Good job.
Yeah, well, it's confidence, right? And that's the only thing that keeps the dollar going. I mean, literally, our dollar is built literally on nothing, right? We don't have a gold standard anymore. It's just confidence that this thing is out there working.
That's right.
So, there's a lot going on, and I think that, and I've said this many times for people who are listening, but this truly whittles down the tip of the spear for this whole broader issue of not only corruption in Wall Street, but corruption in the broader system and where this money is going. I mean, FINRA straight up admitted it's offshore. That is global financial terrorism. And that's just my opinion.
That's very well said.
So it's
Well, and I will say, Lowell, there is plenty of it offshore, but there is plenty of it that is not. So it's not just global financial terrorism, it's domestic
I
terrorism.
think the offshore is our institutions. So how about that?
I do.
Yeah, I agree with you, William. But I think they wrap into one. So you have the camp that's leaning that way, then you have this other camp that's truly fighting for our system. So,
well, I studied this so long ago, but there's international corporations, and this is what these banksters are. They aren't United States banks. They're out for their they're half of 1% of the wealth. They're not U.S. banks anymore. Anyway.
And I want to say this as well, back to the point that we just made and made earlier about the connections to these American companies. Guys, in my research that I'm doing on these clearing firms, a large, substantial amount of these European brokers are clearing through Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley has got their tentacles.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding, Julio. I'm not kidding.
Of course, that's Morgan Stanley Prime Broker as distinct from, but that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Hey guys, we've got Richard Hoffman coming in. I want to give Richard the mic, of course.
How many jokes? Over and under, I think he's going to tell 2 jokes.
Well, I hope they're good ones, Richard. Do you got 2 good jokes for us this morning? Richard, are you there?
I hope so. Am I?
Yeah, you're roboting a little bit, Richard.
How about now?
You're good. What's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, I just was gonna, and good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful Friday morning. Beautiful Friday morning. I was just gonna address that last point because it struck me. So, you know, we follow more than MMTLP. We also follow, some of us follow finger motion and GTI. And this was the last comment the gentleman was making about, and you were talking about shares going offshore. So Alpine was fined $12 million for thousands of violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. So the Bank Secrecy Act was set up after 9/11 so that the government could watch to make sure that there wasn't funding of terrorism and there wasn't money laundering. So when we're talking about what is going on with our brokers and people that are in the system, we have one party, and I'm sure this is repeated thousands of times, but we have one party that might be funding terrorism against the United States. And they, to this point in time, the regulators have permitted them to stay in business. And they had the opportunity, today's Friday, on Monday, if the SEC or FINRA wanted to put Alpine out of business, they could. But they elect not to for other reasons. They elect not to do that strategy. And they let the citizens of the country be at risk because it's not disputed that these guys engaged in conduct that could put the country and its citizens at risk. And this is not about finances. This is about physical risk. So I want everybody to keep that in mind, that the regulators know about this. This is public.
They don't pay taxes on the gains. They don't pay taxes.
Yeah, anything that goes offshore, anything that goes bankrupt, no money comes back to the coffers of the United States Treasury, and it should. And it goes elsewhere, and how it's used, we have no idea. So that's why I have no jokes this morning. I think that's a really disturbing point, and I was compelled to speak because of the last gentleman who was speaking. So That's my 5 cents.
Good job.
Thanks for that, Richard. We really appreciate always your 5 cents. So, by the way, great interview with Ms. Shaughnessy. So that was a treat. I'm looking forward to what you have today. So thank you for that, Richard. Hey, William, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this space. Sorry, guys, but I like to have lunch with my moms. So it's been fantastic conversation. There is so much more to talk about. But I did want to cover 2 things, William, and then I want to get your final thoughts, and then I'll give my final thoughts as well. So guys, one of the things that I have looked into and that I am currently working on a tweet about is we've had a lot of discussions about Form 211. And if you look at the FINRA's response, they say the MMTLP symbol was not assigned the symbol was not assigned in connection with the Form 211. But I will tell you, and I know Huck did an enormous amount of research on this and talked about the exemptions and how they never followed them. But according to SEC regulation NMS, for a company to obtain a ticker, a market maker must submit a Form 211 on the issuer's behalf. Only a market maker can submit a Form 211 to obtain a ticker symbol assignment. FINRA prohibits them, market makers, from charging issuers fees for filing a Form 211. Now, for them to say that there was no Form 211, we know it was going around the internet at the very beginning of this thing, that there was a Form 211 filed. And so, again, FINRA is lying, gaslighting, and presenting misinformation. They said, oh, no, the broker that wanted to transact, all they had to do was ask for it. That is not the case according to SEC Reg NMS. So just wanted to put that out there as well. But let me get your final thoughts on FINRA's response and kind of the state of MMTLP, William.
Well, I got to just say out the gate, just how amazing you are singularly, but you are all in total. It's amazing listening, the wisdom and the intelligence and the integrity of this group just never fails to amaze me. And I feel in awe of it. I'm glad you brought up that last point because I highlighted that as something I wanted to bring up. We don't have to go into detail, but there's no question that MMTLP was created to fraud. And there's a gentleman, 100%, I think it's 100%. It might be somebody else who can explain it in detail. But apparently, if you trade one share of a stock out of some group in Chicago, and then you're offshore, you do it from offshore, you can start flooding the market with shares and there's no tracking of it. That's what happened with MMTLP. It was all fraud. And I guess I don't know if I can have a final thought, Savvy, because this is so big. It's so horrifying. But I think this letter, frankly, is a piece of crap. And I think the person who wrote it is a piece of crap. And I think the institution he represents is a piece of crap. And I think they just by this letter, they should question why they should even exist. Because he says here that he's here for transparency and to protect investors, market integrity, and vibrant capital markets. It's all crap. And I'm sorry to use the word crap several times, but that's my opinion. But I love you, Junk Savvy. You've done a great job. And I'm going to be live. I am live right now. I'm going to go live, have Ham on, and we'll address some of these other issues. But I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Well, I
My
look
sincere
forward to
thanks.
that. I'm grateful. I think we make a pretty darn good team, William. So I look forward to that. Hang on, guys. I'm going to pass it to John for a second. Go ahead, John.
Well, all I wanted to do is add to that is this is what I said before. This is why Mr. Cook wrote the letter. He cannot be held responsible for the lies, the framework of lies that he wrote. He did it intentionally as persuasion to the public, the ignorance of any congressperson, the sentences for them to quote and claim that they only quoted him, not having, even though they might know or have knowledge, but in a political point of view, this is how come a politician can quote someone else and act like, well, I'm innocent because I quoted him. And that's what they're going to do. This is why he wrote it, and not the appointed people of FINRA responsible for writing interpretations of laws. That's it.
Well, your point, and I'm sorry, I know I ended my time here, but now I'm coming back on. Your point is spot on. But remember, there's a blessing. I don't want people to feel hopeless. There's a blessing other than this community. The blessing is that was a trade. It has to be transferred, I guess, or covered by one share of NextBridge for every share of MMTLP. To the extent they can't do it, it says it right here. They have to give cash for the value. Well, I'll tell you what. You've got Greg McCabe and others working on your behalf, and he is not going to sell you out. If he makes a deal, you're going to be included. Secondly, the value of Oro Grande is just going up, up, up. So the cost, and this is the reason I jumped on. You're exactly right. This letter, in a normal strategy, buys time for the criminals. The criminals are all about buying time. So they can do what? Continue selling. But in this case, buying time is working against them because the cost of the financial settlement, not the legal settlement, the financial settlement is going up. Every well that's drilled, every lease that's signed, every intelligent decision that Greg McCabe makes. That's what I wanted to say to your comment.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sweetie. You are now judging godly, my man. Amen.
Okay, let's go to number 2 pencil, and then I'm going to give back some final thoughts. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, real quick on that immunity thing John was talking about, and William and you, Junk, might have the answer. It's been spoken about. Most situations where there's immunity, it's lost when what has ever occurred has occurred due to fraud. So he can say all those things, but if it's all fraud, do they lose their immunity, or is their immunity absolute?
From understanding, their immunity is not absolute. They've been sued before.
On the other hand, I've heard that it's not perfect in the arbitration system. Fraud isn't a perfect way out of the arbitration contract. I'm not an attorney, though. It's just the feedback I've received before.
I don't think there is anything that has absolute immunity. I think immunity has been challenged in so many different ways. And we certainly see that being challenged, and there are lawsuits, successful ones against FINRA and the SEC. And so, I've wondered many times with what's going on, not just with Meta, but with NextBridge, if they're sitting out for a tortious interference claim against the SEC for various reasons. So, that's my understanding. Rick, but I'm also not a lawyer and I don't give legal advice, so maybe that's a question we can ask Richard as well. Okay, guys, I just want to share kind of a few thoughts. I know we've kind of gotten into the weeds and gotten into the details of some of these aspects of the FINRA's response, and yes, I do believe that it was that it wasn't taken seriously. I think that there was a lot of gaslighting going on and a lot of disrespect, a lot of doublespeak, a lot of misinformation. But here's the bottom line. They can attempt, as they have, to blame the issuer, to blame pump and dumpers, to blame CEOs, to blame they can even toss it to brokerages. They want to blame NextBridge and saying this is all your fault because you won't go publicly trading. They can place all the blame that they want and deflect and distract and smoke and mirrors. When I read this, I first was like, this is just smoke and mirrors. But the bottom line is, number one, we did nothing wrong. They can try and make it sound like we did. We didn't. We bought shares of a company, and there is nothing wrong with that. By the way, pumping's not a crime either. Pumping and dumping is a crime. But they obviously did not have any evidence other than the Atlas Group that was associated with Torch, not MMTLP. And so, but the bottom line is none of the blame that they're trying to shift and put on other sources of this information, sources and or people, entities in this situation, negates the fact that they have oversold our positions. We have proved it. They have admitted it. No matter what any of these other entities may or may not have done, it does not justify their criminal behavior. Not only that, we were sold an obligation. Despite all of their efforts, we are owed a reconciliation. And so even if we were to stipulate to all of the BS that they put in that letter, it doesn't negate those two things. John Berta, Bird Lady, Paula Karras, Greg McCabe did not counterfeit our stock. They did it. And those regulators are covering for them. And that's very clear to us. It's been clear to us for a very long time. And it appears from Representative Norman's statement that it is clear to him as well. So anyway, guys, just wanted to end on that. I think, like Curtis said yesterday, he's excited by this. I was too. I'm going to continue to dig into it. I think they backed themselves into a corner. And, I think that they sufficiently have angered Congress to the point that we may absolutely see Representative James Comer issue that subpoena.
So Junk,
anyway, guys, just a quick. Oh, go ahead.
So Junk, not legal advice, answered the question on immunity. He said that absolute immunity is granted for acts within their delegated authority.
Yeah.
Not for criminal misconduct or stuff outside their authority. And I'll quickly, what you just read was brilliant, but it just shows that this criminal conduct has gone on for so long. They assume it's business as usual. They're surprised we're calling them out on it.
Yeah, so absolutely, fraud is not covered under immunity provisions. So, but yeah, absolutely, William. I think that this community has taken them by surprise and knocked them back on their heels so many times. And we're going to continue to do it. We are not giving up, and certainly not when we are this close to absolutely providing definitive proof that they committed fraud and defrauded investors.
And I only brought that up because I knew somebody'd pipe in because I knew the answer, but I wanted from
Of course you did.
with authority that because we've talked about this before, but I don't want people in the audience thinking that they have immunity against all of this, the various actions they've brought against us. So that's all.
And I can't wait, Rick, until somebody pierces that veil of immunity and gets discovery, because it's going to be quite a ride. I can't imagine what is going to be revealed, and they can try and hide it, but in a digital world, they have no excuse. John, go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to add is that is true about immunity, but I'm speaking from experience. I mean, I nearly saved a police officer's life from hitting me, or was going to hit me head on, and I dodged his cop car from hitting me head on. It was completely his fault, as he was probably 6 feet over into my lane. The problem is not that you find a guy who has committed false information, lying, stealing, or whatever, like I'm pointing out with Mr. Crook. It is finding a lawyer who wants to go through the door of fighting immunity. It is what I was told, even in my situation, the cop that was completely at fault, the police showed up, the sheriff showed up, everybody protected his rear end. and he was in my lane 6 feet. Then, as I approached the lawyers, the mayor, and everybody else, it doesn't matter unless you have the absolute guarantee you can prove that the person, like a police officer who was speeding and doing crack in a school zone during the time the kids were being taken to school or out of school and hit a child, immunity is going to stand as the foundation in a correct reason to jackhammer something that's probably stronger than the Constitution of our United States. That's how they stand together. And it's ridiculous. But I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you there's a door in front of that.
No, we know, John, and that's why we're trying to find the evidence and why we're requesting a share count. A share count busts that door down. But anyway, we can go on about that forever. Anyway, guys, and again, you know, my initial response when I read this was blah 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 blah. What is the share count? So hopefully Representative Comer is going to come through and get that for us. But anyway, guys, just a couple reminders before we go today. This has been a long goodbye. And so make sure that you are making those phone calls. Go to Doc Edwards' tweet that's up in the Nest, his post that's up in the Nest. Click that link, check in on the schedule, see what's available, fill those positions. Let's make the most of the physicist's time. Also, go to Just Retail Investors if you have not already participated in our voluntary share count. Our efforts are continuing. And so let's go ahead and get your shares registered through that. If you have any questions or difficulty with that, you can reach out to Ms. Jonna, Russ, or myself. And then we'll continue the conversation throughout the rest of the day. Marduk, are you going to open up a space?
I shall do that.
Okay. Let's continue the conversation throughout the day. Of course, we are our best when we inform and bring facts to the table and dispute and disavow these ridiculous things that are put out by them. I really, Curtis, is like you said, I don't know how they think they are helping themselves because they really are not. But anyway, guys. Fantastic day. Keep an eye for that breaking news. Of course, we have Dennis Neal's interview with Representative Ralph Norman. Surely on the table is going to be his discussion of what the next steps are in encouraging Chairman Comer, who, by the way, signed the open letter. And I know that our people are engaging with him and have been. That they move forward with that subpoena to request that information. So anyway, guys, hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining. William, thank you so much. I think we make a fantastic team.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. You're welcome to take
We haven't signed a prenup yet.
No, we have not. William, let's live dangerously. Let's go with that.
Hey, John. Sorry, I didn't realize Fishing on Credit had a space open. So I'm gonna pop in there, hang out for a bit, and then I'll open my own separate workspace. But we can still make calls. DM me anybody that needs the Just Pace It link that's got all the emails that Docky put together. It's got all the information that you need to reach out to Congress. Just DM me and I can send it to you. Thanks.
Okay, guys. Yeah, well, William, let's live dangerously. So anyway, guys, you have a fantastic weekend. If you need my DMs are open. Check in and just have a great weekend. Let's be prepared for the fight next week as well. So you guys have a great weekend. And as always, keep it green.
All right. Now that call has ended. I apologize for putting you through it, but Ham wants to come on. I don't know. I assume this is working. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's all working. I just have to, it's all working. Ham wants to come on. Let's go with this comment. I think Brenda's right, but I'll let Ham talk about it. But what Ham has heard is there's 10 million shares short. Junk is too nice. Okay, here we go. Hang on one second. Just hang on. The speaker was working. I just have to get it working again. Hang on. It's Bluetooth, so it just takes a second to hook it back up. Just hang on.
Battery
Okay.
100%.
Okay. All right. And now. All right. At long last, you guys get to hear from Ham directly. Hang on. It didn't quite work. Now it is.
Am I okay?
Yeah, now you're good. My mistake.
All right, everybody. I got tossed in Twitter jail for scolding somebody who was a scumbag. So they report me and I got kicked off for 12 hours. So besides being in jail now, I'm ripping mad. So I just wanted to go over a bunch of things again, not to buy or sell, blah, 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 right? All right, GTII. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of guys and they're all saying what's going on. I cannot recommend you to buy it right now until I see something that will sway my opinion. I believe it's still a massive short squeeze potential. What's going to make it go? The SEC, the DTC, someone, law enforcement, somebody forcing the issue. I don't have anything in my possession or knowledge right now that's going to tell you it's going to go tomorrow. So again, that's one way I look at it. The second thing is the MMTLP news where they get a subpoena FINRA to get that information on the blue sheets. That is potentially the silver bullet to kill the shorts in GTII also. These are the things I'm looking for. There are people presenting to the company transactions. I have nothing to do with that. What am I going to say? They may do a deal. I don't even know what it is. So you can't keep asking me, what am I going to say about GTII? If you have fuck you money, it's worth a shot. I don't have fuck you money, and I don't tell people to put something in that I have no idea of the potential. Right? If the government's not going to do anything, we have to wait for the company to do something. I can't do anything. I'm standing here like you are. And I base my decisions on information that I can see in the marketplace. That's what I see. So please stop asking me that I'm going to be here to be the bullhorn for a stock. We know the shorts here. We know the criminals. You got Alpine. There's 100 things that can happen, but I don't see something happening in 30 seconds. So it's hard for me to tell it. You have the same information I have. You know that Alpine was busted short GTI. It's all right there. We're not making any of this up. I just can't stop the manipulation. And I can't say, and everybody I know owns it. My friends own 20, 30 million shares of stock. You don't think we want it to go up? But I'm not going to say something that's false just to try to get people to buy the stock. I can't do that. So I have to wait. When it could come out this afternoon, there could be something that comes out. Just pay attention to what's the news out there. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching for the news that will light the candle. That's it. You know how big the short, it could be 500 million by now. They don't cover anything. They're just manipulating back and forth. You can tell they're still here because as soon as the offer gets taken, somebody else comes in with another piece for sale. It's always the same thing. All right. So you got to stop asking me. I told one person, I don't want to be nasty, but I says, hey man, you want to end it? Go get a gun and go kill the short sellers. We'll give you a medal when they put you in jail for life. That's not, what do you want me to say? Take it into your own hands. What do you want me to do?
That's not a serious suggestion, by the way.
No, I'm just being sarcastic. They're demanding that I stand up with a flag. What am I going to say? I don't even know what to say. I'm sitting here watching it like you are. At some point, FU money is, if I had it, I'd be throwing it into it, but I don't have the FU money. So there's my GTII. So for those who say I don't talk about it, I just gave you everything about it. It's traded 97,000 shares. That's $23,000, the amount of stock that's traded today. $23,000. There's nothing going on. Out of the 97,000, I guarantee you 50 of it was fake going back and forth. That's what I see in GTII. Pay attention what's going on in MMTLP. Pay attention. I'll be meeting with the Secret Service and the FBI. When something I can say comes out of that, I would tell you, hey man, they're knocking on the doors. Hey, then it's showtime. All right. So again, I can't say more than that. I'm not telling you not to buy it. You make your own decision. It may take a little longer. I don't know. It could happen. You could buy it. The news comes out and stock goes from here to 300,000 a blur. I don't know. If I knew, I'd be selling my kidney out there trying to buy stock. I have no information. So you can't ask me that. All right. So I don't know anything. All right. And my friends are big and they're down a lot of money here. So I do watch it, and there's not much I can say to give us an edge. There's nothing to say. I have nothing. All right. Let's move on to different things. William, first of all, your video with the interview with Martin was outstanding. I get compliments all day from people.
Really? Really? That means a lot coming from you.
No, I'm only kidding. It means nothing. You were shitty. And
let me just say, you wouldn't give me a compliment if you didn't mean it. So I appreciate it.
Everyone loved it, including myself. But you left out my two questions, which I'll tell everybody on this call. I wanted William to ask the CEO, how does the company and the employees feel when they get attacked by a capybara on a false report?
I forgot that one. You're right.
The morale of the company, it has to be disheartening that when you're doing well, you get these fraudulent people. Remember, people in the company get paid stock as a bonus. They're allowed to sell it. And when you just imagine getting 50,000 shares, you've been waiting 2 years to sell it. The stock's at $7. You get capybara coming out here. 50,000 at $7 is $350. 50,000 down here is what? 100 grand, whatever the hell it is. These people work every day, just like you work at your job. Not all of us work for a public company, but they get compensation that way. And I wanted to know what the CEO thought about that. Obviously,
yeah, I just forgot that one. I'm sorry.
And I wanted you to ask about the dividend. You forgot that too.
I think I might have asked him that before we started. There were some things he couldn't talk. And
oh, okay. So I didn't know, but
I'm not sure he was allowed to even talk about that. But I could have asked. You're right. In a general way. I'm sorry.
Listen, everything else was perfect. I just, those are two things that I was curious about, which I had no answers on. I was curious about those two things. I'm talking about everyone saying that it was outstanding. And, you did a great job, and, it was wonderful. So again, you had a long day, long journey, and, you did a great job. And, everyone should be thanking you for doing this, because most people didn't move their ass 2 feet. And if you didn't compliment William on it, then you're a lazy son of a bitch. Because
you're the one that did. You were the driving force of that trip and that event. You're the one that worked your ass off.
Yeah, but you got on a train, a plane, automobile. You were all over the place.
Yeah.
You were walking down the street with your trench coat, and you looked like the priest from The Exorcist coming in to see the devil.
Looked like Peter Sellers.
It was dark. It was cold, and you were out there, and you gave up your time, to come do this, and I appreciate it. And I don't know if people do, but I do appreciate it. And for those who continually attack you over stupid things, they're just assholes. They're too lazy to move from their house. And you know what? I wouldn't take anything they say for granted. Just forget about those people. Because everyone, the people that are with you, and they know what you're about, and they have no idea. My friend, who is a very big IR guy, he worked at Merrill Lynch. When I drove him home, he had nothing but the respect for you. He just met you.
Wow.
And he said, what a wonderful guy you were, and he wishes you the best. And when he saw the video, he says, wow, that came out great. And he was at dinner with us. So I mean, he's the guy who said, when the companies go profitable, the shorts have no more story. It's over with.
Yeah.
He says that they're dead at that point. And he watched it happen in many stocks, quietly. They just keep moving down the road. By us fighting, Finger Motion has now turned the corner. They got past all the devils here. You know, they got past Lynn Partners. They fell into the trap. They were attacked. They did the whole thing. Now they have a clear runway to get where they have to be. You know, and that's what I got out of it. That the company is, you know, on a clear path to profitability. They have major alliances, partners, and good things ahead. And if people are too lazy to sit down and look at the finger motion, what the CEO had to say, things are on the way. Things are happening soon. He says it in the video. It's not my words. It's right there. All right. There's things happening. It's right in the video. He tells you. And, you got as much as you can out of them. Legally, they can only say so much. But, that's fair disclosure. And he said what he could.
Yeah.
William, on a different note,
Yeah.
I'll just leave finger motion for a second. I'll just stay for one more minute on finger motion, and then I'll move along. The people seeing the company come out, clarify their earnings. They told us about what they expect going forward, how it's going to start to jump. All right. And things like that. The company then is issuing a special dividend, which is a reward for the shareholders in this company. All right. And yet the manipulation continues. It got to 277 the other day. Pedro from Philly, we weren't watching it, William, we weren't there, and they sold 100,000 at the market again to knock it down. This is the same stupid thing as Richard would say. Sell 100 at the market to get it down as fast as possible. The stock dropped from 277 to below 240, so you're talking about 40 cents. They lost $40,000 just to mark it down. That's how crazy this whole thing is. So again, it's the same thing, but they're running out of steam. The company's fundamentals, the revenue, earnings, profitability are on the way. And basically now they're at a point where they're trapped. They can't go any lower because then it just turns the company even to a better buy than where it is right now. Benchmark said it was worth $5. That was before all the new things that came out. So again, with Benchmark, you know what? It's not 5. I'll just say that with all the good things that come out after Benchmark's report, the company's worth 7. Who in their right mind is trying to sell it down below 2? All right, we know what it is, and I heard a story, William. I don't know if you heard it, maybe you didn't. I was with many people. A company went to see their lender, their toxic lender, and when they walked in the door, the first thing the toxic lender says is, "I didn't short your stock. It's not me."
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I put that survey up.
Yeah.
And, I don't know about you, and I don't know the name of the company. I don't know the name of the company, but but if a CEO walks into a toxic lender and that's the first thing they say to you, I don't know what that could be.
And I did hear the story, and that particular CEO is brave enough to believe what his eyes telling him. He's not himself.
Well, again, when you're not from Wall Street, you don't see this all the time. But when someone from the private sector bumps into that have to set off alarm saying, okay, if the guy's trying to back at us, I didn't even ask him a question yet, and they're already denying it, there's something wrong here. So again, that's the level of scumbags these people are. And to have naked short selling, toxic lenders walking around a conference as though they're looking for murder victims. They're walking around. You bumped into Seth Kramer.
Walking around smug.
Right. They're just walking around like, hey, we're here to help give you $100,000, $200,000 or $1 million, and we're going to destroy your company. Finger motion. Okay. Someone told me that the CEO said that he sees a lot of the same people all the time at these conferences. So if there's 50 people, let's say 20 of them are the same people. What do you think those 20 people are trying to do? Hey, your stock has a lot of volume every day. We can lend you money. Those are the type of people sitting in the audience all the time. I know I had 15 people there. So 15 people were my friends. 15 people were shareholders. I have to thank the gentleman that came in from Chicago. I won't say his name. He flew in, drove in from Philly to attend, came to dinner with us. That's a shareholder that wanted to understand more about it, and I applaud him for doing that. Great guy, and I thank him also. but there were other friends of mine there, and they all said the same thing. Who are these other people that are coming around at the same conferences, whether he's in Las Vegas or LA? These are toxic lenders. They pay people out there to bait you to take their money. Oh, we'll give you better terms than that guy. They all do the same thing. Because I don't need to go to a conference. Once I hear the story, I have William's video. What's going to change unless there's a press release, which I can then add to that video and say, okay, let me recap what this company does again. Oh, here it is. The CEO's answering all the questions right in front of us. And one thing, William, that he highlighted that I watched it again and I watch it again. The CEO said they've only touched 5% of the
Really?
1.6 billion people in China, 1.5 billion.
That was just such an amazing data point.
And they're just warming up. Think about Apple warming up. And I remember Apple at $20, $17 when they thought they were going out of business. I know people who were buying it there. I bought it and I flipped it at 22 or $23 and thought I was a hero. And today it's worth, 5,000 times more than what I sold it at. Because you know what? I didn't have the vision for the future. And
most of the what do they call it? The special 7. Most of those stocks like Amazon, Facebook, you had Apple, maybe you had a chance to buy it and just hold it long term. And that's how I heard that statistic you just quoted. They only have touched 5%. Wow.
And you know what? I had the chance to buy Amazon at $10. And for those that don't know, I had spoken and met with Bob Johnson of BET many years ago and down in DC. And, none of us saw the vision of a company buying products for $1, and they were buying products for 80 cents or $1, and selling it to people for 80 cents just to get the market share. Like, who's keeping these guys alive, losing on every transaction? If you went to Stevie Cohen and you put on a trading desk and said, Stevie, listen, every trade I'm doing, I'm going to lose 20 cents on every trade. He's going to take you and throw you out of a window. But they wind up, they're meant, I think it was Credit Suisse at the time, or First Boston, I forgot at the time. They were keeping these guys alive, losing all the time. And it was $10 the stock. And that's why I brought it up with Bob Johnson again at BET. Say, imagine the minorities who have no idea about the equity markets that were able to buy one share of Amazon a week for $10 instead of throwing it out the window. Give them a reason, understanding why to own a stock like Amazon. Look where it is today, how much money they would have made just putting away $10. And even myself. All right, that's what education is about on Wall Street. And most of us don't think about that. But if you see a plan, find your own stock. I think I found mine in Finger Motion. And you know what? When I get extra money, I throw it in there because I believe the fundamentals are just warming up. And one day this is going to be a powerhouse. And these idiots that are short are going to get run over. And that's just the way I see it. You make your own decisions, go figure it out yourself. But William, again, there's a lot of data points in that conversation. Just listen to it and figure it out yourself. But only touching 5% of 1.5 billion people it's only going to keep growing.
Well, the other thing is just the intelligence, commitment, demeanor, the confidence of Martin Shen. That is exactly who you want building your company in China. And
oh no, listen, the guy is so well spoken. Everything he says, he speaks straight. He comes, on your call. It's just amazing. Just amazing guy. And, I don't see that in other CEOs, and, maybe 1 out of 1,000. This guy is a straight shooter, understands the market.
Yeah.
He did accounting work in Hong Kong, I think he said. I can't remember what he came for, what his background was. But,
yeah, I think it was Hong Kong.
He understands the market. And he says the employees in China are outstanding. They believe in what they're doing. And just to sit here and watch a capybara try to destroy everything over just trying to steal some money. That's all it is. They're just trying to steal money, and the government allows it. And we can't have we can't have the government allowing people like this to run around. They do it all the time. Andrew left. They all do it. All right. You saw Hindenburg and people in India going after. Those guys are going big game hunting. Hindenburg, Andrew left, Carson Black. These guys were going after. They wanted to knock out big companies because a big company has a lot of room to the downside. All right. That's why they went after Shopify a few years ago. SHOP. The stock went to 2,000. They all got crushed being short the stock. All right, but they were trying to attack it. They tried it many times, and it didn't work. They did the same thing in Peloton, Beyond Meats, TLRY. You know, these stocks, they were holding them down, and then eventually, like, Peloton went from like $20 to 200. Beyond Meat went to 200-300. They all did that. The TLRY. Remember, we're selling the marijuana, one of the first ones, and it screamed also. All right, so they can't hold these things down. Eventually, they will break out. But again, that was a tremendous video, and I thank you for putting the time and the travel and taking away from what you're doing with your life to go do that.
It
And
wasn't hard. Martin did all the work, and you did all the work. People are asking you, is ZJYL halted trading? I don't think so, but
I don't know. I'll try to look. I've been talking for 20 minutes. Why you just stopped trading? I don't know.
I don't believe so. I think what's happening is if they only record trades that are 100 shares or more. That's my guess, but there's a lot of questions on ZJYL.
Well, let me just move on to that one now. My friend just said no halt. It's just odd lots. Odd lots mean less than 100 shares. So
Odd Lot Cicada. You remember Odd Lot Cicada?
No,
the James Bond movie. You don't remember?
No. Oh yes. No, I thought it was. Is that what his name was?
Well, maybe I'm wrong on his name.
I think it was Odd Job. I thought.
Odd Job Cicada. Yeah, Odd Job Cicada.
I was like, oh my God, when you gotta get your facts straight. Anyway, I'll go from. So I touched on finger motion for you guys. I made my decision that this is something that I've been in since 2018. I'm not going away, and I don't believe in selling and to jump in other names. Like I could have jumped into ZJY. I'm not selling because I believe I'm in the right spot. In my life, many times, I'm sure people on here, like my friend from E.F. Hutton, he's always told me he's the king of selling what he believes in, jumping into another name, and the stock that he believed in. The stock that he believed in takes off and he's in another name. So I don't believe in doing that. And I'm only kidding about the gentleman from E.F. Hutton, but too smart for that. But I did that many times in my life and I won't do it again. So again, we went to GTII, I touched on. We went to finger motion, I touched on. Please watch William's video, make your own determination. The CEO is a straight shooter. He went through everything about it. And that was after a full day of speaking. He gave that interview, correct? William, did I lose you? William? I have no idea. Is he still there? William? Hello? Okay, I just want to make sure that you understood it. I will go to ZJYL now. All right, William, I'm going to touch on it now. I will touch on it now. ZJYL, the forward split was approved. The forward split has been approved, as everyone can see, and the game goes on. I've heard that the number is, 10 million counterfeit shares have been in the system. I went back and looked at the data just like everyone else saying, okay, this can't be right. The thing's trading 30,000 a day. How to get to 10 million? Go back to June of last year. You can see 6 million traded on one day. And that was all below $10. I'm hearing the average price on all the sales, the short sales in this thing is $20. So they're down right now $220 a share, $230 a share.
On 10 million shares?
On 10 million shares.
That's $200 million?
Well, when they're stealing billions a day, 9 billion a day, it's peanuts, right? In this game. So this stock is levitating, and this is my opinion, at $250 a share, is because someone is super upside down here. All right, because no one on this phone is going to make this stock move. I don't care what you're buying. You can buy 1,000 shares, 200, 100. You're not moving the stock. Somebody in that camp is trying to cover, and someone's trying to hold it and maintain it. They're trying to do an orderly cover, meaning they're trying to cover on their terms up here without driving the stock past 300 and going to the moon. So they stay.
Are they having any luck?
No, they're not having any luck. That's what I was just going to get to. The clock is running out on them, you know, and it's just a matter of what day it's going to get forward split now. If you think about it, everyone, if you were short 1,000 shares at $20, you're down $220,000. The 1,000 shares, the most you can make is $20,000, and you're down $200,000 more. Think about how upside down these people are. All right. But they're such pigs and criminals, they think that they always win. But the system in this one caught them. And you sit there, how come it didn't work in GTI? It didn't work in Finger, blah, 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 blah. Each thing is different. Each thing is different. That's why I brought it to your attention. I do not own it. We get to see a forward split in real time, and you can see how it's going to pan out for you. So think of it, like I said, William, the other day, think of it as about going to Harvard Business School. You're getting a better education, only one share of this that are watching it and figuring it out. And then you can write it on the wall in your house saying, forward split is good, forward split is bad. Make sure that the rest of your day's trading in your life, you can address that way. Correct, William?
Sounds good to me.
We know the reverse split is bad. You can mark that down. The forward split, you're going to get to see in real time. We've known it's happened in Apple and it's always worked. We know it's happened in Tesla and it's worked. Someone said it worked in Home Depot or Costco, I can't remember, but there's been many of them in the bigger companies. This one, it's working perfect because it's a small company with 1 million shares in the float, and that's going to go to 20 million shares, and the short's going to be, if it is 10 million, it's going to 200 million shares. That is a brutal number. And when the company reverses, the company will meet the NASDAQ requirement because they'll have multiple shareholders, okay, because that's what they needed to do the forward split for. So NASDAQ actually told them to do this stuff. It's in the filing. Am I correct, William?
It's in the filing, which
Right,
we
so you
read
can
out,
also-
I think, last week. Yeah.
Right. So they needed to get the 300 shareholders. So by forward splitting it, you know, think about it. You know, you have 20 shares or 10 shares, and now you're going to have 200 shares. A registered holder needs 100 shares. So again, many people will now become registered holders in this company. But when it does the forward split, the price is going to come down. You'll have more shares, but the price will be lower. Let's say it opens up at $10. More people will be able to buy a $10 stock for a short squeeze, right? So again, this is a stock that's trapped them. The company's got them, and let's see what happens. All right. The non-movement back and forth here is telling you that they don't know what to do. All right. So again, let's see what happens here. All they're offering is, what is it, 100 shares? That's all they're doing right now. It's a 100-share market.
Right.
You know, when a buyer steps in, anyone steps in to buy it, you'll see the offer disappear and it go back up to 280. They don't want to make any more sales. They're just trying to hopefully get my friend from E.F. Hutton to sell his 300 shares and make them panic and say, oh my God, the bids are disappearing, the offers are getting lower. And that will make him panic out because at E.F. Hutton, they didn't teach brokers how not to panic. In my world, we knew that. We were taught not to panic. But when you worked at E.F. Hutton, I'm only busting the guy from E.F. Hutton, everybody. So I know he's on the call, so I just want to make sure I annoy him. Yeah, William, do you have anything?
Well,
to say?
I think shorts are taught not to panic. Yeah, there's.
Oh no! Listen, again, being a short seller is a tough thing to do. Being a short seller, fraud, counterfeiter is an easy thing to do because they just short with no fear.
Right.
real short sellers. I watch short sellers panic all the time. I did the orders for them.
Yeah.
I seen them short it, and I seen them panic.
That's the real ones where they have real.
Right.
This gentleman brought up a question. It's something I forgot to do on the tape, but I was trying not to interrupt all the time. And you're right, Pharaoh. Martin said that the Univest is working with them and they're doing an ATM at the market. Or they might do an ATM. But remember that they also put out a press release. They don't intend to raise money in the $5-6 or below price range. So I forgot to make that clear. But
yes, they did that. They did say that. The company did say they're not raising money down here.
Right.
So it's in place for a reason. So
exactly.
Let's see what comes out of it. He said that there's something. He met him in Tokyo, and now you brought it to my attention. He did it. He met him in Tokyo, and he spoke to his partner also, and he says they're preparing something. So the shit's going to hit the fan in my eyes soon.
But they also had the press release, so don't worry. I don't think you need to worry, because the question is, Univest raising money for Finger will make it run up at the market price. We'll see what they have in mind. I don't think we can really comment further. Then there's a discussion here that Webull hasn't seen a trade in ZJYL since 9:30. Guys, I don't think Webull is a legitimate. I mean, they're legitimate, but their business model is to sell you fractional, non-existent shares, in my opinion. So
listen, don't get deep into that game. Listen, everybody's getting dragged into all these crazy conversations. Listen, you're buying the stock. You're not buying enough to change the world. If you got your bet down, if your bookmaker says you bet the Giants or the Jets or you bet the Chiefs, your bet is good, right? That's what Webull's selling.
So, I mean, Ham, talk about that. You've got 1.3 million shares in the float. The people you know own 1.3 million or more, and they're not selling. The outstanding shares, I think, is almost 8 million, 7.6 million. 80% of that is held by insiders. How the hell are the shorts going to cover 10 million shares?
We're going to get to watch it. You got a first row seat to the horror. That's what it is. Just like in what's his name, Steve Buscemi, in that movie with Bruce Willis when they're on the asteroid. I got a first row seat to the horror. I get to face the horror. That's what we get to see. You're getting to see criminals trapped. They trap themselves way below the water. They're underwater by 200. If you ever think you're a loser, these guys are upside down by $240.
And when they buy in, they've got to be highly confident that the other side of that trade is going to deliver, that it's so-called real shares. This thing could be not a moon rocket. It could be Pluto before it stops.
Well, listen, again, people keep saying, well, you're not talking about GTI. How'd you get off of that? As Ken would say to me today, how come you changed? GTI was the best short squeeze. It is. Someone forced the issue, Ken. I'll address Ken. That's what has to happen, Ken. I can't force the issue, Ken. All right? My friends and everybody I know bought tons of stock to force the issue. And the SEC, FINRA, has turned their back on us while we're watching this. But I do believe it's going to come back and bite them on the ass, and that's what we're waiting for.
Well, and also, if a prime broker gets stung by ZJYL, let's say, that prime broker and others are going to pay more attention to large short positions, let's say in GTII and let's say in Finger. So,
well, I think that the people that are in ZJYL are going to drift over to GDC.
Yeah, I think that's true too.
My friend owns that stock. He owns 1 million shares and almost $4.
I think
so. If I could just read the future, I think that the people are coming from ZJYL into GDC. I'm long and I'm wrong and I'm waiting and watching, but I think I like to follow patterns, and I think that that's where they go. The road leads to that next. So I look at it. I know nothing else about neither of those companies, just what I reported to you just now. So you can't ask me any questions. I don't know what anybody even does. I'm just following people that are way smarter than me, way more money than me. And why wouldn't I do that? Because that's how I was taught to trade. When people call me up, and if someone gave me a heads up on something and it worked, when they called again, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to play again. And that's how I was taught. And I followed a lot of good people over the years, and I did very well following those people. When I follow myself, I stink. Follow other
When
people,
others
I did
follow
well.
you, you kind of smell too.
Again, I got much better at understanding from when I was younger and just being a cowboy running into anything. So now I sit down and I watch William's interview. I went to the conference. I understand it, and I watched it. And when I walked out, I always tell the story. I went to see Rodney Dangerfield in Las Vegas, and I walked out. He said so many jokes, I couldn't remember one. But here it is, and watching, William's video. You're at the conference, you don't remember everything that was told. Now you're repeating it, and now I can expand on things that I heard and things that he said, and it all makes sense to me now. And
Well,
it's right
the
there.
person that deserves the thanks is Martin Shen. He was so gracious, and he showed me where we could do it, and he was dead tired, but he stopped and did the interview. And I thought he was terrific.
Well, listen, that's what you want to see. One thing I wanted to touch on, thanks for people, is that there are a lot of morons walking around that defend toxic lenders, that they are providing a service, William. And what was that service, William? What are they doing, William? Tell them what you heard.
They're cleansing the market of bad business plans and CEOs. This conference had a lot of really excellent CEOs there. And I actually sat in on several presentations. And these poor people are here for the American dream. If they take a note from Seth Kramer or Jeff Easton, they might as well go work at 7-Eleven.
It's the proof is in the pudding. You get to see the damage from anyone who ever deals with these people. You can see what the damage is. It's right in front of you. We're not making it up. Their track record speaks for themselves. You can see it yourself. And this is what they walk around, and because they have money, they can sit here and they just loot people like it's no big deal. And my thing is that I would love to have these guys, when they do get arrested, sit in front of people that have lost money and whatever these 50 stocks that Lynn did or the Kramers destroyed, and tell them, hey, I'm Seth Kramer. I sold you counterfeit shares. I stole all your money so me and my family can have a good life, and F you. I like to see them tell that to people. Just like when their daughter gets raped and the rapist is on trial. You see, I watched a video the other day on Twitter, William. A gentleman's daughter was raped, and the rapist was standing 20 feet from him. He got up out of his chair and saying he was a big guy. He walked over and hit this guy square in the face and knocked him flat. And he wound up getting arrested because the guy raped his daughter. It was his first chance. He got to see him in person in the courtroom, and he nailed him. And I get how people feel. And that's why these criminals always hide and stay a distance from everyone. Jeff Easton doesn't want to go in front of the shareholders. Put him in front of the shareholders in finger motion, have him do a presentation. What a great job he did. And show us his phone records and everything about how he's money and how his clients are making 220% and we're all losing money.
At least Seth Kramer lorded over the conference like Darth Vader, dressed in a $5,000 or $6,000 suit, cigar, hair pressed back, 2 or 3 guys following him. God,
looking for a murder victim.
Yeah,
They want to take the company into the stairwell, give them $100,000, and then try to steal $5 million and kill everybody. That's their business model. That's it. There's nothing else to it. That's it.
Yeah.
Or you can read Gretchen Morganson's story where they lend you the money and they threaten to kill you if you don't pay with interest as fast as you can, or whatever the hell they were doing in that story. You know, Avid Trader did a video of all the Kramers getting caught, labeled as bad actors, caught all over the place. So they moved their LLCs to Virginia so they don't get caught for RICO charges and usury fraud in New York City. And they think that no one sees what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here in the equity markets. And we're trying to expose that so that doesn't happen. And because the stocks go down, the investors all yell, you guys said this, you guys said that. We're just reporting what we see. All right. My friends and family all bought the stocks. I got it. It's my responsibilities to them. And I keep telling them, stay put, do what you have to do. But at this point, I can't recommend to my family and friends to buy more because I'm waiting for a clear path of a sign from the gods that this thing is going to, you know, what we believe is ready to happen. What I believe is ready to happen is ZJYL has jumped into the forefront by accident. I don't even own it, but I'm reporting on it because I find it compelling and something that can educate you guys on this stuff. You want to learn? Here it is in real time. And what happens when this goes? I think the money's going to flow from there into GDC. That's Wall Street traders. That's how we think. Okay, if these guys hit it, where are they going next? Are they buying IBM? No, I don't think so. I think they're going to buy GDC. That's what I see.
I agree with you. Just, of course, my source of information is you, but I agree with you.
Well, listen, I keep my ear to the ground, and I memorize what people do. And you know what? I heard about GDC. I thought it was interesting. I know nothing about it. Smart money's buying it. And guess what? I got in too early, like the wrong thing to do. So what can I say? I got to sit, wait, and see what happens.
So Red Hook Texan is asking you, what is the potential on ZJYL?
I don't know. We're going to find out. It's definitely, if they're short that many shares, you tell me where it's going to go. We've heard stories that people think it's going to 30,000. Well, 30,000 minus 260, there's a lot of potential between
Let's
those
just
numbers,
look
correct?
at that number. Let's say that the 12, I'm making it up, let's call it a dozen guys own 1.3 million shares. That's what I heard. A group of guys own 1.3. That's the entire float. If they're waiting for 30,000, I don't know that for a fact, but if they wait for 30,000, they sell their 1.3 million shares at 30,000. The shorts still have almost 9 million shares more to cover. I think the stock can go pretty high.
Well, listen, it can go to 300, that's for sure. How's that for Mr. Guy in Texas? I think it's going to 300. What can I tell you?
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Don't get, if there's one thing we can all learn is if we hang on for these dream numbers, the stocks could go up and then we don't sell.
Always, William, if you're long and you doubled your money, you could sell some, get your money off the table, and then you could sit there and say, let the wheel spin and see what happens. That's how you make the most money in this world, in this market. If I would have sold GameStop and taken my money off the table and said, okay, I got a free shot, I would have made 5 times more than what I did. What did I do? I sold it like everyone else and says, okay, let me get out. This is unbelievable. You know, I made $20, $30, $100 in a stock. That's unbelievable. That doesn't happen every day. Not knowing that it's going to go another $400.
This guy is on a live chat right now with Schwab. Schwab is telling Jabba that ZJYL is listed as ZJYLD. That must be the newly trading shares. The D has failed to meet exchange continued listing requirements. I'm not sure that can be possible.
Well,
let me see if there's a quote for that.
ZJYLD like a dog?
Yeah, I don't see a quote. I don't see a quote like that. I don't think Schwab's telling you the truth.
I don't think they know what's going on.
They probably don't know.
I don't know. The people that used to work on the street we're very knowledgeable about everything. They just hiring people to fill these jobs, and they what they don't know, they don't know. I still have people call me up. They're looking for the GTII dividends, just like MMTLP is looking for what's going on in their companies. That's what dividends are about. The dividends are about exposing the criminals.
So,
And I do think that MMTLP is going to be the match that lights this candle on all these explosive names that we talk about.
okay, this guy just joined. I'm assuming you've covered why ZJYL isn't updating on E-Trade, Apple stocks, or Robinhood. I think it's just that it's not trading that many 100-share blocks.
Well, it's 240 bid for 200 shares, and there's 100 shares offered at 260. That's what I see, and the volume's 4108.
And the volume
So
now
let's say
is
the number
4,100. That's up
Yeah.
from when we started.
Well, let's look at it this way. We think we're hearing the number's 10 million shares counterfeited. Forget that number. Make it 1 million. How are they going to cover it? It's traded 4,000 shares.
How are they going to cover 100,000 shares without driving it up?
Right. I think there you go. So, I think that you're going to see a panic as you get closer. The weekend's coming. These guys are going to go home short, not knowing what Monday brings. The split's been approved. No one can stop what's coming. And you know what? You want to be short? You're going to be short 20 times more next week. Good luck.
Did you hear Dave that for the split date?
No, I don't know it yet.
Yeah,
No, I do not.
I don't know either.
I assume it's going to be next week. It's not today, so it's going to be next week.
Same question, but maybe you can approach the answer differently. When there's very low volume and there's really no action, do you take that as a bearish or bullish sign when you know there's a large short position?
I think it's a positive sign.
Yeah.
That tells me that the shorts are out of gas.
Yeah.
There's $240 downside. Where are they? Go knock it down, right?
Yeah.
They sold it down to 62 weeks ago for those who haven't paid attention to it. I don't know if you remember that, William.
I remember it. I lived through it, and I bought, I think, 4 shares at $74. So, in my IRA. So.
Hold on, let me just see. I just want to look for a second.
I figured that's a safe investment for retirement.
Okay, I just let you know that on January 12th, on 27,000 shares, the high was 82. They knocked it down to $63 on that day. All right, so they, that was their bear raid. Then it bounced back up and it's been grinding the other way now. All right, and just keep going back in time. How about the day it traded 309,000 shares, stock at a 113 to 190 range? The day before, it traded 800,000 up to 509, from $11 to 509. So you keep saying, where does all the volume comes from? Well, 300 and 800, it's 1,000,001 right there. Then you go back in time when the stock was, I go back to 280,000 on October 20th, 143,000 the day before. October 6th, 200, and October 3rd to the 6th, 200 a day. Then I keep going back, September, 200, 270, 275, 285, 300. This is in the $10, $11 range. 300,000, 300,000, 11 to 14, 300. I mean, this is remarkable. If you go back and look and you say, this can't be short 10 million shares. Really, go back and look. The volume's there. June 12th, 5,673,000 shares. And that's all in a range between $8 and $20. And the next day they drove it back down to 8. So there's a spike up, straight back down. So 10 million shares in March 28, 300,000. I mean, so go back and the history will show you that the numbers do exist. So
Kristen Shaughnessy is here if you'd like to say something to her.
yes, she did a great job the other day with Richard. All right. And she's becoming a rock star in our circles. So everyone's always asking me, where did she learn all this stuff? And I told her she learned it from William.
No. She's got a great background, which she can't talk about right now, but she
she
will eventually.
That's funny you say that. She always says that. You're right. It makes me laugh when she says, "Oh, I can't talk about that." Okay.
But she does
but,
great.
No, she's putting together some great recaps of what we say, and I appreciate it. She's learned how to, I guess, how to cut and paste, which I can't figure out.
It's amazing how the wonderful job she does editing. I don't know how to do it. And most people just want to hear a quick snippet to get the whole picture, and she narrows it down. It's absolutely fantastic.
And for not being a Wall Street person, that is Wall Street. You know, you guys don't know, and I used to call up a big hedge fund and try to give them a story. You say, hey, Richie, I'm hearing this. Go. What do you got? I hear, okay, I got to go. That was it. There was no more
and it could be as little as the same guy that was buying ZJYL is now buying GDC. That could be it. You didn't have to say more than that. All right, put me down for some.
That was the communication, and you were not allowed to call back and ask questions. And if it worked, my phone would ring and say, "Hey, thank you," and sell 400,000 of some stock that they give you for commission, and that would be to pay you thank you for what happened. That was all you knew. And I wasn't allowed to ask what you bought it out, what you did. I didn't ask any questions.
You listened to my interview with Martin Shen, and this guy's pointing out that he mentioned a Verizon contract, and it's the second or third time I've been asked about it.
I don't know what
frankly, I didn't remember him saying it, and I'm not sure he was saying that Finger had a Verizon. I think he was comparing it as if you got a contract with Verizon in the United States, it would cover the whole country. I think that's what he was saying. And in China, I don't know. I'd have to go listen to myself.
I agree with you on that because I heard it too, and I said they get a Verizon, but I don't think China is Verizon's in China. I think it may be exactly what you're saying.
What I remember is he was trying to point out that he gets coverage over the whole country, but they go from oblast to oblast, from state to state. I forget what they called them, but from province to province.
Province.
And so they focus on one, they move to the next. That's the context of that, I think. Sada Aman is asking you, if ZJYL does not squeeze right now, will it squeeze after the forward split?
We're going to find out right now. We're going to, as a trader, if I was playing, I would be buying the stock if I was playing. That's my opinion, because the stock's not going down. We know there's a short here. The company's forward splitting it. And these are things that you look at, and you're a trader. What's the edge that I have here? The edge is that I know there's an event coming. The event is going to be damaging for the short sellers, and that's how I base my decisions on it. And if that goes, I know that the gang is going to move to GDC. That's two ideas you got from one idea now, right? So that doesn't help me in finger motion, but Williams' report in finger motion clarified everything I need to know about finger motion. GTI, we have to wait for the company to do something or the government to actually expose the short in that name. The government's already exposed the short because it's in a court document that Alpine has a concentrated short position in GTI.
Let me express, although it's slightly different, in a case where a squeeze suddenly happens, you can miss out. But in general, in general, when you're accumulating a position, it's great to dollar cost average over time, the price goes, that's great. But when you've reached your limit of that and you want to put money in action, sometimes it's better to buy a stock after it starts to move up than while it's just sitting on its ass. So in the case of GTII, to me, you might get a signal that it's going to move, and let's say it moves to 35 or 40. I'm not predicting that right now. But if it did, that might be a better buy than buying it at 25. I don't know. It just depends on what's driving it. Anyway.
We have no driver right now. The driver is that we have a sleeping giant. It's sort of like the movie War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. The short is hiding underneath the ground, and all of a sudden it'll pop its head. When that happens, what's going to drive it to come out of hiding? It's going to be the SEC, FINRA, the Secret Service, the FBI, MMTLP. Those are all things that are drivers to kill a short seller, to expose them. Could it be the Kramers getting arrested? Could be Alpine being exposed? There's many things that are happening. They just hasn't happened today. It could happen this afternoon. I don't know. So when people say to me, how come you're not pushing it or recommending it, is because I have to wait for an event, a high sign from the gods I'm waiting for, and I just haven't seen it today.
Guys, on ZJYL, I'm watching it on my little screen. At around 200 shares have traded since the time sort of after Ham came on. I'm seeing it. It now says 4,130. It was saying 4,110. So I think it is trading.
Well, again, it is. It's not. There's no volatility. The shorts need to create volatility. I've told you that 1,000 times. We watched it the other day in finger motion. It was 277. We were at the conference. They drove it down to below 230, selling 100,000 shares at the market, trying to break the back of momentum. All right, that's volatility. They needed to create volatility because the volatility was going up, and they needed to smack it down. ZJYL had the same volatility when they attacked it down and drove it down $100. But guess what? It bounced back up and it ran back $100. All right, so the volatility that they create, when the volatility goes into buyers, the stock will turn and bite them on the ass, and that's what's happened in ZJYL.
All right. So I want you to give very careful, thought out advice to Sada Aman, who is a great person and who has been to the Capitol fighting the battle for shorts. She purchased 78 shares of ZJYL.
Wow.
I would assume it was in the 100 to 150 range. I don't know. But how would you tell her to trade out of that position?
Well, figure out your price. Okay, whatever the total amount of shares you have, what you said, 75, whatever it is.
78.
Figure out your price that you paid for it and say, okay, if I sold 25 shares at 300, I get all my money off the table and I am free. I have no risk. How would you like to have horse races where you have, you don't have $100 bet, but you have, 70 and it's all free and you have all your money off the table? I mean, that's the way that's how you win big on Wall Street. All right. You can't be a pig holding on to every share all the time. So if you could somehow lower your cost, any way to lower your cost. I told you, my friend, she trades for a major fund and she only trades Apple. The fund owns 30 million shares of Apple, some crazy number. When Apple moves up, she sells 1 million, 2 million shares of Apple. When it goes up 3-4 points, when it pulls back, she buys it back. At the end of the day, the firm always has 30 million shares, but she's allowed to trade it back and forth, and she gets paid a percentage of what she makes off of those trades.
It trades on the margin. It trades on the margin.
No, forget margin. I'm just showing you.
No, but I mean on I don't mean margin account. I mean, she trades a little bit of what she has, not the
Yes,
whole
but she's
position.
all she's trying to do. If she can make, if she can make, 50 cents, $1, maybe get lucky, make $2, the fund's position gets lowered. That's all they want to do is lower their cost of owning this position. They keep holding the same position, but instead of owning it at $200 after a year of trading, they may own all those shares at not 200, maybe at 198 because all the work she does. And the next year she gets that cost down to 196. That keeps going lower. That means the company makes more profit. That's how they do it in the big games. So if you think to take that same theory and do it with ZJYL, say I own 78 shares at 100 and I sold 30 something shares at 305, you covered all your money and you have the rest for free.
And
my
own opinion, which is more trading, so it's because Ham's right. I think once it breaks through 300, 305, it's going to go higher. But once it breaks through that, at least mentally, I wouldn't let it come back below 300. I would have taken some off. And then, Sada, let's say you sold a little bit at 500 or 700, making the numbers up. One thing you could do before the crowd is buy a little bit of GDC.
Well, that's how you, as a trader, you look ahead. You have to look ahead. You say, okay, Wall Street's a fast-moving beast. If you find a group with a hot hand, you have to find out what they're doing next. Well, by accident, we happen to have a symbol that they're following. So when did they come for it? I guess when this thing goes crazy, they'll have plenty of cash to go to the next one. So that's how I look at it. Am I going to be correct? I hope so. I hope I'm in the right spot. I know they're not buying IBM. I think they're coming here.
Is 88% held by institutions enough to get you excited like GME?
No.
Okay.
Keep an eye on it. You'll see it keep drifting. When they keep going over 100, then that's the launch pad spots when to get up that high.
So Kitteridge points out, and thank you, Kit, for ZJYL, it has to have a 100-lot trade. If it trades less than that away from your platform, you won't see a quotation change.
It's called an odd lot. That means less than 100 shares.
Odd lot cicada.
Right. Odd job. You keep saying it wrong. That was the guy threw the hat.
Yeah, it's the guy that threw the hat. And now when you watch it, it's so cornball. But Odd Lot Cicada came to my high school and everyone was all excited to meet him. Oh, God. Can't imagine how bad it would be to run into Odd Lot Cicada.
I just want to tell people that, we always see companies come out with news and it's like every company, all they do is work to get a press release out to tell their shareholders how proud they are they did something, right? Everybody sees that, right? Well, I just want to bring something. It was brought to my attention, and I've been following this out for a long time. CVM, Charlie Victor Mary, came out with news the other day. It was a press release that they basically think they're going to get approval in the press release at the end of the year in the UK for their cancer treatment. The stock went down 13 cents. I know people that own it, and they told me about it, and I'm like, get in line. It happens all the time. This is Fraud Street. Companies working on finding a cure for head and neck cancer. And by the way, the gentleman that was with us, William, had that head and neck cancer. All right, that's how I always heard about it, but I never knew anyone who had it. And my friend had it, and they cut out half his tongue and cut out his jaw, and he had severe chemo. I mean, he's doing great today. But, here's this company, and it comes out with a press release, and no one cares. The shorts kill it back down there. No big deal. No big deal. And you see it all the time. We used to make fun of it in GTII. No matter what the company does, Charlie Mayo and the Kramers have a sell the news as soon as it comes out. We can't even read the press release that comes out, and they're selling it down already out of the gate. Am I correct, William?
That's correct.
We used to say, oh, these guys are speed readers. They went to Evelyn Woods back in the day, the speed reading courses.
I used to read like this.
That's how they still read, believe it or not. All they do is hit a sell button. Those bunch of morons out in Long Island, that's how they read. Only thing they're doing is walking around with stolen money. And I would love to put them in front of people that sit there and that they robbed. You know, military people, police, they rob the FBI, they rob everybody. Don't tell everybody to your face, hey, this is what I do. I give you money and I destroy your stock and I stole your money. Shame on you for buying the stock. That's what they should be saying to people. And let's see the response they get back from people. The people that get angry at us for reporting what we see, they blame us that the stock's ticking down. I don't have any sell tickets. So let's follow the sell tickets, and then you could call me any scumbag name you want if the tickets are coming back to me. I always tell people we report it to the police. Not many people that are criminals go running to the police. The criminals are not. The Kramers are not at the police. Lynn Partners is not calling the FBI. We do. How come? Can you figure that out yet? If someone robs your house, did the crooks call the police, or you have to call them?
I think you're being nefarious.
Well, again, I feel bad for people that are new to the game. They look at us as suckers, and I've educated people not to be a sucker, and that's why they get angry. And I point the finger at where the crime is coming from, and that's what they don't like. And now people can see it. And you know what's so funny, William? I was talking with, I think I spoke with you about this also. How long you been here now? 2 years, 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a long, strange trip.
All right. And I keep telling people, think how time goes by. Some people have been here a year. MMTL people have been screaming for, I don't know how long, 1.5 years now, whatever the hell it is. I can't remember the days. I've been doing this 24 years. Time just keeps flying by. And everyone here who doesn't respect that I'm still standing here, you know what I say to you? Get lost.
It's almost like time waits for no one.
And we're sitting here, and I feel bad that anyone has to waste their time. I told Anna in DC, and I told her many times, you're going to be attacked. And I said, just do what you have to do, and don't let it consume you. It's consumed me. I can't stop. This doesn't bother me one bit talking about it. I can actually talk to you guys while I'm playing ball. That's how easy it is for me. All right. This is very easy for me to do. There's no one's going to say anything to insult me. I don't give a shit. I'm a professional. I know about the equity markets, up, down, sideways. I don't give a shit who you are, what big money manager you are. I can go toe to toe with you. I don't know every gory detail about the treasury markets and the bond market. I'm not a bond guy. But when it comes to stock, I was with the women at the table when we had dinner. She talked about a stock that she was involved with that went to 100. She mentioned the name, and this is 20 years ago. Did I tell you the symbol? Did I know the symbol right out of my mouth? Did
you had it right away, and her middle name was Marie. I remember that.
She said a stock, and I couldn't remember. I said in a second because I remember trading the stock. That was 20 years ago. So I memorized these things. I remember the trades I made, and that was 20 years ago. That's what I did. And I've been here 24 years. And what's good, bad, and different about this whole thing, how would you like to have been in 2010, 11, when we were standing in mud? And there's a group of us standing here trying to fight this thing. And we had no news. We were like in the desert looking for water to drink. Every day, MMTLP or something, South Korea, Malaysia, India, there's news on counterfeiting, naked short selling, whatever you want to call it, coming out. We didn't have that for a year. We had Patrick Byrne putting out his videos and compiling stuff with his friend from the Wall Street Journal. That's what we had. And we had to wait for Patrick to come up with something new. It was like Netflix producing a movie. You had to wait. You guys are spoiled. You're getting stuff every hour. I can't even keep up on it sometimes. There's so much news coming out. And that's what tells me that it's coming to a head, because it's coming from every direction now, everywhere. Before, it was just a bunch of band of people banding together, banging a drum. It's not like that anymore. And if you can't see it or feel it, then I agree you should move along, because it's a tough game. I'm sorry, William, I just got carried away.
No, you did great.
Well, you gotta remember, I'm in Twitter jail till tonight, so
Well, you haven't
all
read
hyped
then
up.
what Mark Bazile just wrote for FINRA's response. He said, he just put this up. Yesterday's response by FINRA to the open congressional letter should raise alarms. One takeaway is that FINRA as an organization has failed the retail investor. They have known for years the movement of short positions offshore. They quote, paren, likely to affiliates of domestic brokers under their supervision, on paren, and then they claim there is nothing they can do. They had a duty to go to Congress to close this loophole instead of using it as a shield to their own culpability. You cannot be charged by Congress to protect investors and then hide behind the foreign curtain narrative when your organization and the SEC should have brought this issue to Congress to fix. And this epiphany is just the tip. At Just What Christian has been saying this for years, and Ham just copies him. This is tantamount to legal naked short selling. I added that little joke in the middle there.
Well, listen, you have smart lawyers protecting the criminals like Gibson Dunn. For those who don't know, GTII, I'm speaking about it, so the guys who want to hear about GTII, clean your fucking ears and listen. Back in the day, GTII investors were tortured on Twitter by Gibson Dunn telling them to stop posting against their clients. And they attacked professional people on Twitter, for those who didn't know. I don't know. I know some of the people that have gotten letters from Gibson Dunn, a major law firm, global law firm, that the Kramers, those criminals from Long Island, were paying a ton of money to protect them against us and exposing them. That's what goes on here. Then you have guys on our side, or a few, that are out here trying to help make money for themselves, obviously. But Mark Bazile just put out, Mark Bazile is very different than Wes Christian and his people, because Mark Bazile will stop on a dime and defend you and fight for you. Wes Christian, it takes time. He's in courts. He's a very different guy. Mark Bazile is working in his office. I've been to his office. He has a big staff, and he's working. But when something catches him, he addresses it in 1 second.
Yeah.
And that's the type of lawyer I love. And he's a guy like us. All right. Wes is a different guy. He's from Houston. He's a Texas mentality. And, he's always big game hunting. And Mark Bazile is sitting there saying, okay, let's pick off these criminals one by one when they make a mistake. And that's what he does. And again, that's why I love him. And again, Wes Christian is here for the home run swing. Mark is here for singles and doubles. And you know what? In his singles and doubles, he's exposing them. The SEC is now.
Well, he's building the wall one brick at a time.
Well, he's got the SEC going after the unregistered toxic lenders. And I've been in this game a long time, and I didn't know that was an angle to go after until he started doing it.
They'll just move to Virginia. I'm kidding.
He's on top of that game. He understands it. And that's a different way to expose it. Just go to the SEC Gov. I put it up all the time. Here's another one. Here's the other guy. That one guy, I can't remember his name, something with an A. I posted it yesterday. He had 134 toxic notes. 134. We don't know the names of the companies he's destroyed, how much he's stolen. All right. But he was unregistered. Who knows how many shares he sold? That other guy, Adam Long from Dorado Beach, sold what? 6 billion shares. And I don't know how many companies he got involved with. 6 billion shares of stock. No wonder they're burning down the places where the tickets are held. They're trying to hide all this stuff. 6 billion ticket sales. All sells. We talked about Webbush. Me and Pete from Philly were going back and forth yesterday or last night. Webbush sells direct market access to the U.S. markets to foreign customers. So if you're an LLC in Paris or Lebanon or wherever the hell you are, you can open an account with Webbush, have direct market access, and have the ability to make a short using the loophole, okay, the market maker exemption. Webbush will give you their license so that you can go out there and start stealing. The only thing Webbush needs to do was to supervise them, and they look the other way.
Speaking of Pedro Philly, he posted, "You can't spell Charlie, as in Charlie Gasparino, without the letters L-I-E. You see the things you're missing by not being on Twitter?
I'm not watching it.
Well, actually, you posted something 6 hours ago, it says.
That's when I got banned.
Oh.
All right, someone's saying that I'm on Twitter telling people not to buy GTI. I'm not telling people not to buy GTI. If you have FU money, go ahead and buy it. I can't tell you, but I can't tell you that I have a catalyst today to make it go. All right, so I cannot tell you to go buy it. All right, I don't know the catalyst to buy IBM, so I wouldn't tell you to buy IBM either. But if you want to accumulate it, go ahead. I don't have FU money to buy anything. So what would you like me to say? So I'm not saying that. GTII has all the proof. It's right there. So people stop saying I'm not telling people to buy it. If my friends call me up and they want to buy it, I tell them the same thing I'm telling you. If you have FU money, go ahead and accumulate it. I do believe there's 500, 450, 500 million shares short. We do believe the Kramers and Alpine are tied to this thing. What would you like me to say? You want to buy it? Buy it. The catalyst, I just listed 50 of them. So stop texting me that I'm not talking about it. I'm sick of talking about it. There's nothing for me to say. You want me to make it up? I'm not making shit up. I don't do that. There's nothing for me to say.
You put out yesterday Ari Goldstein, Adar Baez, and Adar Alex.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Toxic scumbag.
Right. There you go. Oh, I put toxic scumbag. Maybe that's why I got kicked off.
And it says the securities, and then Kristen much more politely put up, and she quoted, "The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced the filing of an enforcement actions against R. Ray Goldstein, a resident of Florida and New York, and 2 entities he holds, Adar Baez, located in Florida, and Adar Aleph, doing business in Florida and New York, for failing to register as a securities dealer in connection with their convertible note financing business, which involved obtaining and selling securities of over 100 micro-cap companies. 100 micro. There weren't 100 micro-cap companies at that conference yesterday. And it's like he destroyed them all.
Right.
The parties have agreed to settle the charges. See, that's the only difference I have with attorneys. They settle them. They say, all right, you did good. You didn't do bad. We settled. And the fraud continues.
All right. So the people telling me that that I should not speak about GTI anymore. I'm hurting the stock by telling the truth. So I will not, do not ask me any more questions about GTI. I'm waiting for the SEC, the DOJ, the FBI, Secret Service, MMTLP, or someone to get arrested from Alpine or Kramer's. And that's the catalyst that I'm waiting for. All right. Other than that, that's what I'm waiting for. When that comes, I'm not telling anybody about it. I'm going to tell my friends. That's who we're looking for. So people jot down the same thing I just said. And that's when I will sell my kidney and go buy stock. Right? Because that's the catalyst that I'm looking for from the heavens to tell me to go buy the stock because it's showtime. All right. GTII is an option that doesn't expire. And you know what? If these guys want to keep manipulating it down a little bit, when the time comes, if I have to pay 75 cents for it, I'll pay 75 cents to buy more. How do I tell my friends that own 20 million shares, hey, can you double down here because somebody wants the stock to tick up to 30 cents? What am I supposed to say? You know the criminals are here. They're manipulating it, and I can't support it without the proof and the information coming from the brokerage firms or something, and that will give me the high sign. We exposed Alpine a while ago, and the stock went up. I talked about it every day. Alpine. Now Alpine's in court. Richard and Not Legal Advice is addressing that. Every day we talk about it.
Hey.
You think that me talking is going to make the stock go up? But you lost your mind. It doesn't work like that. We need evidence. We need proof to come out. We know the proof is all here, but we need someone to enforce it. So please stop bashing me about it. I can't do anything about it. Do I believe in the stock? Yes, but I can't support it. I don't have any money. What do you want me to do? I told them, if you want me to say something, tell me, give me your name, and I'll put exactly out what you want me to say. And then when someone knocks on my door, I'm going to say, hey, this guy told me. I don't do that.
Kyle, when do we think we'll see the ZJYL split? When I read the vote, the filing with the SEC, it says that any director of the company can pick the date. I guess we're just waiting for the date to be chosen.
Listen, if the company went through all this to do a forward split, do you think they're going to drag their feet? William, what's your thought?
I don't think they're going to drag their feet.
So that's all you can think about. As I look at it, saying if they went through the trouble, and I'm sure they know that they got these guys upside down, these criminals, their stock went from $10 to $500. I think they know they have a problem.
I also think the opposite is true. They're not going to rush it if they're going to make a mistake. But they know it's not that complicated, but they're going to make sure they don't make a mistake. I would guess they're going to make that announcement today or tomorrow. Today's Friday. I would bet Sunday night would be great. Monday midday would be great. That would add the most pressure on the shorts possible.
Right. So again, we're sitting here, and there's no way ZJYL doesn't have a plan in place. They know what they're doing. They took the vote. It went smooth. They all voted for it except for 120 shares. Someone voted against it. And now what happens? They forward split it. That's it. That's what's going to happen. Who told them to do a forward split? The NASDAQ. So you don't have enough shareholders. So they did the forward split that makes the stock cheaper so people can buy it. There you go. They're just complying with NASDAQ. That's it.
Someone's asking, DBMM's up 5%. Guys, I don't know anything about it, but these stocks that are essentially seller boxed, when they run up, I think they're trying to get buyers in because on these tiny, tiny stock prices, the spread between the bid and the ask, if they can do any trades, they're making 50, 70, 100% a day in their trades. Just be careful of getting sucked in.
DBMM, okay, the CEO is a woman. She fought with the Kramers. She's the one that told us Alpine was their prime broker. She gave us the heads up on it. She fought the Kramers. If anyone that speaks to her, and I know some people have, She is a great CEO. She refused to leave until she finished and turned this company around. What does that mean? How is the stock trading down here? I have no idea. How many shares in the float? I do not know. But call her up, ask her. She's an ace. Super person.
So's Ace.
Okay.
Ace is an ace.
Ace is an ace. But this woman is someone I respect. She knows what she wants to do, but she doesn't know shit about anything about the equity markets and the stock price. Obviously, it's been going on a year and a half, and the stock is still at 000. What the hell's going on? I do not know.
So
ask her about it.
Trading in ZJYL is now 4,180, which is up from when we were before. But B is asking you, what does it mean when it doesn't move the price? 239.38 doesn't move at all. What does that mean to you?
That there's nothing going on.
Yeah, there's nothing going on.
There's nothing going on. Listen, people who wanted to buy the stock have purchased it already. They're just sitting here for the forward split. Stocks don't have to trade every day. Stocks don't trade every day. What's happening? Nothing. Some days there's nothing happening. The stocks trade when the shorts attack. It brings in people looking to buy a dip. All right, that's when stock starts to trade. So the shorts always try to create a fire drill to get people to see if they're going to come in and buy it. If no one's buying the dip, they keep selling it, trying to mark it down. But this time in this stock, because of the forward split, they're not doing anything because they don't want to do more. They're just hoping that you sell it. That's all they're trying to do. So I'm not sitting here pitching people to buy it. Everyone on his phone owns 70 shares, 20 shares, 50, 10 shares, whatever the hell the number is. William owns 17, and I don't even own a share. So people are looking at it saying, okay, I'll take a shot on this thing. And when it goes, I always tell you to do one thing, sell some. A lot of people have texted me, they sold 5 shares at 300, they paid 100, thank you very much. They got 5 for free. That's the game. I don't control any of this thing. If stock settlement and the U.S. equity markets were fair, these events wouldn't happen. There'd be far less events of these big short squeezes. Robert Shapiro said, when doing Reg Show in 2008, the SEC, they all agreed that he said that the short squeezes are a way to take care of the bad actors. All right? That's what a short squeeze is. It's a way to get rid of the bad actors. And that's what it's about. So again, bad actors in CJYL, who are they? I have no idea. Whoever they are, it's probably a big player that's upside down here, and they don't know what to do. And I can guarantee if I worked on that desk, whoever they are, the boss is saying, hey, do what you can, but do not sell anymore.
The price just changed. It's 242.02, 4,590, and your GDC touched $2. It's now 198.
Well, I own it at 380.
I own it at 306 or 308.
Tell me when it gets there.
Yeah. And Kit's right. It's a lot of 100 or more. An odd lot cicada went through.
And if anyone has fuck you money, then you go buy GTII.
Or send it to Rich Fizz.
So if you make $1,000, maybe you buy. If you make $1,000 in a trade, maybe you buy $100 worth of GTII, and you keep 90% in your pocket. If you make another $1,000, you do the same thing, and this way you can start accumulating a position if you don't have it, or if you wanted to add. That's how I would do it. I'm stuck, frozen. All my positions are basically not doing anything, so I cannot do that. If someone wants to give me $100,000, I'll use the money and we'll see what happens. I'll take a shot for you, but I don't have the money. So stop asking.
I don't know what the analogy would be, but maybe it's like downhill skiing and going over moguls. You just got to touch them and get on to the next one. That's what trading is. But sometimes your account's dead for a while. And you can't wish stocks to trade. You can't wish them up. They'll happen when they happen.
Right. That's exactly. I can't wish it up. Believe me, I have a genie thing in the other room. I'll go rub it later and pray for it to go up. I don't.
Don't
Again,
tell
I
us
never
about
pray
that.
for money. It's all about. I do is about health. I don't really give a shit about anything else. All right. If you have your health, then you got everything. That's the most important thing.
You
All right.
sound like Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, Johnny, it's all about health. It's all about health. I'm getting old. I know I'm getting old.
You know what? If you want to get a laugh every night, just go to YouTube and hit up Rodney Dangerfield. And the time he had Don DeLuise hysterical with Johnny Carson, it's just so funny how quick this guy was. He didn't tell stories, he told jokes, and it's very different. But that's what gets me through the days, things like that.
I heard when I was born, the nurse slapped me. Sorry, the doctor slapped me. I heard the nurse got in a few too. God, he is good. I like that movie Back to School, just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I went
But
to
anyway, any more questions? Let's go.
Well,
Let's
let's
move right
see.
along.
A lot of talking on ZJYL, which by the way,
Listen,
I think it's good. That way we're not
outstanding. It's outstanding because this is teaching people that would never know about it, including myself. I never was in a forward split.
Exactly.
When you say reverse split and you tell me to buy the stock, I spit in your face and tell you to get lost. A forward split, my eyes opened up and said, who's doing a forward split? This company. Wow. Let's see what the hell happens. I never owned Apple when they did a forward split, or Tesla or Costco or Home Depot, whatever those names were. So I'm looking forward to it. And if you look on it on paper, if you're short, it's going to make it 20 times worse. I'm using this theory about the other way. If they do a reverse, Vocal did a 500-to-1 reverse. If you owned any shares, you probably owe them money. That's how much you got wiped out there. So we know the reverse is bad, and the forward split has to be the opposite. It has to be good. So let's see what happens. So we're all getting the same lesson at the same time. We're talking about something that we would never normally see, and we get to watch it. That's it. This is what we're doing. And if you're nervous about it, and you're nervous, then you exit. No one's holding you. No one's going to stop you from selling. It's a free market. Do what you want.
MKC wants you to know that, and I'm not trying to pick on him at all, but he says he's heard that people who short stocks to death go to micro cap conferences just looking for stocks to short. That's exactly right. You got it.
There you go. That's exactly right. And these poor companies spend money traveling. The CEO flew from China to Vancouver, where I think he lives in Vancouver. He's from Vancouver. I can't remember. To New York City, to come to Philadelphia, down by Philadelphia, Atlantic City, to go to a conference, to pitch people, and attempt to get awareness on his company. He was going to the conference to tell you what. But he went there to tell him what? That the company's going out of business, so he's going to give him a positive spin. He gave you a positive spin. He not only did give you a positive spin, he did a video, and he basically said what everything he felt that was going on. So I mean, that's what these conferences about. The poor companies that aren't protected or don't have anybody supporting them, they get destroyed. No matter what you say, they go down. CBM had great news on their cancer product. Hopefully, get approved by the end of the year. The stock went down 14 cents the other day. No one cares. Couldn't care less. If it gains momentum, and you say, what do you mean by momentum? I'll give you an example. RUM got momentum, and the stock squeezed from 320 up to 730 or something like that. That's momentum. Now the shorts are trying everything in their power to stop this momentum that's in the stock. They're trying to get people to sell it. So they drove it down the other day to $6 or something like that. $6, maybe broke $6, I can't remember. And it bounced back up over $7 again. So they're trying to stop this momentum, this upside. Momentum kills the shorts. They don't want people coming into the stocks. Finger Motion had momentum going the other day. What did they do? They attacked it as fast as they can to stop the momentum. But what are you going to stop it? The company's got, to me, it's got great fundamental news. What are you stopping? Let it go, but they can't let it go up. So look at it as an opportunity, if you do care, to accumulate. If you think you're going to trade, for all the people listening, if you want to trade, go trade Tesla, Nvidia, go trade stocks that move 20 points a day and tell me how you do. Come back after you do that.
I just saw your post. Ham says to me in a Twitter post, hey, you didn't ask the CEO about the upcoming special dividend.
I didn't. We forgot. You forgot to do it.
I did forget. But then you said, hey, Lynn Partners, tell your buddies the next headache's on the way. Sorry, guys. I just forgot. Sitting there, and I couldn't read my own handwriting. So anyway.
Well, that's the way, everybody. Just let me stop you for 1 second. So I'm sitting with William and my good friend, and we're asking William what kind of questions he's giving. So I jotted it down. I said, let me see. He turned the paper around, and I looked at him. I said, what the hell did you write? I couldn't even, we were looking, trying to decipher it. It reminds me of an old Woody Allen movie, Take the Money and Run. He goes to rob a bank. And they couldn't read the note, what he was saying. He says he has a gun, and they kept saying in the movie, it says you have a gub. He couldn't get it. And they brought everybody in, the police, the bank manager, to read the note, and no one could understand that he said he had a gun.
All right, so Laffy is asking you, as of now, ZJYL didn't meet the requirements to trade on the NASDAQ. Can you ask Cam what's going on?
Yes, they put it in the statement. They said that you don't have enough shareholders. You need 300 shareholders owning 100 shares. So the company said that they were going to forward split, and that would bring the stock cheaper so that people can afford it, because most of us cannot afford to buy 100 shares of a $300 stock. So that's what they did. They complied with the NASDAQ request, and they have till March to comply. So the stock is going to forward split, what, February 2nd, 3rd, whatever day it is?
Yeah,
so when it reverses, the stock's going to be $10. So if people buy 100 shares, they will have 300 shareholders then, and they comply with the NASDAQ. That's how you do it. The NASDAQ has rules, and the companies are forced to stay within the boundaries. When you're driving on the highway, you stay between the lines. You don't go driving all over the place, or you get a ticket. That's how it works. Now, the NASDAQ and FINRA and the SEC should settle the trades. They're not going by their own rules, but that's what should be happening there. And that's the problem with all these stocks, is stock settlement doesn't exist. The criminals know it. They're hiding the shorts offshore. And that leads us, back to GTII and Alpine, who are criminals and hiding the stocks. Where are all the sales in GTII? You know, they're hidden someplace. Whether in Germany, Amsterdam, who knows, Spain, wherever the hell they're hiding them, maybe in the Caymans, I do not know. Or Canada, I have no idea. But they're hiding it somewhere, and I'm sure when Alpine finally gets the final blow and the regulators start looking through their books and get inside their facility to see what they're doing, that's when we'll get clarity on that. You know it exists. They put it in the court document. Richard from Not Legal Advice has spoken about it many times. I posted it 50,000 times. So if they rob your house and have video of William breaking into my house on the camera as he waves, as he walks out with my TV.
I thought you had a shotgun.
Well, I ain't saying you're walking out upright, but but if we have video of you, that's a crime. Alpine, you have proof from the depository trust of the NSCC telling you they have something criminal activity in the firm, and they're going after them for it. There's your proof. There you go.
So Kristen Shaughnessy put up, which this is a topic that some have discussed for a long time, but JP Morgan has 58 trillion in derivatives. How is this not a top story? quote, the scale of derivatives held by major banks like JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Goldman Sachs amounts to 203 trillion. You know, that's not far off from a quadrillion. Has raised concerns. I guess that's a quintillion. That has raised concerns about the potential risks these positions might pose to the global economy. Anyway, she's great. Exactly.
Listen, if you go back and look, people, and just go look at the Big Short, Selena Gomez was at a blackjack table and she was making a bet, and there was an economist sitting next to her talking about the odds. And she was going to make a bet that she was going to win the hand because she had great cards. But everyone behind her started making bets on her bet. Okay. And that just tells you how crazy Wall Street is, that these numbers, because there's derivatives all over the place, and they have to worry about who the hell's going to settle these things if they ever start to fall apart or unwind. And that's so what happened in the Big Short in 2008, of course, the market, the crash, the housing market. It's happening again. They're showing you again. You have to be insane to keep your money in the equity markets, in your pension accounts. I told you, move to the sideline. You're right. They were spiking it up. The market is just NVIDIA and this AI stuff. Nothing else is moving. Everybody else's stocks are sideways to down. And yet those stocks keep going up. All right. The companies keep laying off people. That's not a good sign when they're firing everybody, laying everybody off. Is Deutsche Bank the next Credit Suisse? I don't know. It looks like something's going on. There's always signs, so just be careful. You know, I can't guarantee it's going to create the sell-off, but the things don't look great to me. So again, I try to tell you, if you have $1 million, if you're lucky enough to have in your pension account, I don't have a pension account. I got wiped out on the whole thing. But if you do have money in your pension account, maybe take $500,000 and move to the sideline. If you're lucky enough to have something so big. Maybe take 800,000 and take it out and say, okay, I'll leave 200,000 in to see what happens, and I'll go to the sideline and I'll get an interest bearing, whatever it may be.
Your phone call is making you rich. GDC is at 202.
I need it at 380. Could someone, some of the GTI guys yelling at me, can you take it to 380?
Do you know Brian Barnes?
What's that?
Brian Barnes. Not legal advice is saying Brian Barnes is arguing the appeal on behalf of Alpine. I don't know who Brian Barnes is. So this gentleman is asking you, do you think we got our first win when Finger announces major news in Finger's Q1, which is February, March, April, and when they turn profitable? We don't know, but that sounds like a pretty good theory to go on.
Well, he said that they have all those weird, the end of the year, it's this quarter versus that quarter. It's like, Q3 is really I got confused on the whole thing. I'm just going to go based on what he's saying, that, they had an accounting issue and things will turn and the next quarters will be better. And the company's you spoke about it. They had great partnerships. They did this, that, and the other thing. So again, I'll just stick with that. So
just for another listener, what is the potential of ZJYL in your opinion?
You know the numbers like I know it. I told you what they said.
They believe you, not me.
There's someone short. The story is that there's someone short based on data, 10 million shares. I went back and looked at go back and look at the historical trading data. It's right there. If you go to Yahoo, you can hit it up yourself. And you say, well, come on, 10 million shares, the thing hardly trades. Go back to when the stock was $8. Millions of shares were trading. So again, now it's got my interest saying, okay, somebody's short this thing down there. Then I got the information that the average price on all those shares is what? Is $20. That means they shorted 99% of their short is below $20. Remember we talked about the short, the squeeze trigger and finger motion a long time ago was $5. Well, that number's going to be that number's coming down also now off of 5. It's probably down to 3.5 now. All the shares in Finger Motion, the average price on all the shares is probably 3.5, down from 5. Well, ZJYL, it's 20, and look where the stock is now. These guys are down $250. Whatever it is, 230, whatever the number is. I'm standing up, I'm not watching. Very different. So you get the average of all the short sales, and it's $20. So these guys are choking. And if you sold 1,000 shares, imagine the most you can make at $20 is 20,000, and some idiots are short. And the thing is now they're down $200,000+ here. This is what I'm looking for in GTII. For those people who don't believe me, this is what I've been looking for. A stock to do this. I can't make it happen. I'm not fucking Superman. I cannot do that.
I've never seen Clark Kent around when you're there. How it happened
here, I don't know. Why did it happen in GameStop when I talked about it? Obviously, the big hedge funds came in and made it happen. It wasn't me. How come it hasn't happened in rum? How come it hasn't happened in Kodak? Kodak had his day in the sun. AMC had their day in the sun, and they never came back again. GTII has the proof for all the people with their ears closed. GTI has proof. If you like and you're pissed off, which you should be, I'm not telling you not to be pissed off, go see a cop. Call the SEC, call the FBI, call whoever you like, call the Canadian Mounted Police. Here's the proof. Could someone address this for me? How do we get ripped off? You know the criminals are here. Go do it yourself. What do you want me to do? I did everything I could possibly do. I cannot make the stocks go up. And I've told everybody 1,000 times. And GTI did go to $9. And people made money and some people lost money. I can't stop that.
GDC is 210.
William, I told you. Don't tell me till it's 380. I don't care.
207 actually now.
Now I'm losing again. Thank you.
This guy, Josh, took his original investment out of ZJYL and bought 2,500 GDC and riding 20 shares of ZJYL for free. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Again, you need to make money so we can go back to other names. I have no way to fabricate any more money to buy any GTII. I just don't have any access to do it. I'm trying, but nothing seems to work. So I'm in the wrong spots right now. I could be in the right spots tomorrow. That's how it works.
What did the eye doctor prescribe for a lawyer who was having trouble reading documents?
Oh, it's got to be Richard. Richard, I'm frazzled here. I can't figure it out.
Contract lenses. Can Finger do a buyback? Yeah, but when it's profitable, sure. But don't focus on that right now, but they can later. The key of when it goes profitable is the shorts, the criminals will know they don't need to raise money anymore, number one. 2, just the threat of what you're talking about. But 3, other buyers will come in. When companies turn profitable, they can acquire other companies, they can acquire employees, they grow, the stock price starts going up. It's bad for the shorts. Is this the last day to buy ZJYL for the split? I think Ham would say possibly. I would say
based on what I see, there's not much more room you have. There's not much more time left in the game.
Yeah. So if you want to own it, today's probably it.
Listen, if you wanted to take a shot, you buy 1 share and you're risking $300. If you wanted to do it, it's more of it's not going to get you rich. but it will give you an education that you wouldn't have.
Jordan got its first share today. Anything new on GTII? Ham talked about GTII at length, so you'll have to rewind to hear that. I wouldn't say there was anything new though, so you can do what you're
We don't have any new information. If information hits the airwaves, we will know about it fast. There are people that know more than me about the company speaking with people at that Trento mine thing. Again, they've reached out to many shareholders, said that they were in Chile. They're telling me, I don't know what's going on. They're presenting it to the company. The company has to make that decision, not me. So again, I can't make it go up. I can't make it go down. That's it. And if I had extra money, I would buy it, but I don't have any extra money. So what would you like me to say? I would sell some GDC, but I'm down $1.50. I don't do that. All right. I don't move along like that. I would sell it and I could buy some ZJYL, but I don't have any FU money. So I can't do that either. I have 1 penny in my account, 13 cents to be exact. I'm sorry. I misstated that in case everybody wants to know. I have 13 cents in my account.
Hey.
Anything else?
I'm looking. Lots of thank yous to Ham.
Listen, people, listen, this is Wall Street. You talk about stocks. This is how it works. People come up with ideas. I worked on a big trading desk. If someone talked about ZJYL on the other side of the desk at 13, and I said, screw that, I'm not playing it. And the next thing they call me, hey, you just hit 500. I'd be sick if you never told me about it, right? I'd be sick, A, that I didn't take the shot, or B, that you never told me about it. So I've always told everyone what I heard. And this way, if someone makes a decision, they do buy it and they make money, they go, thank you. Hey, go buy XYZ because I think that's going to be good for you. And I say, thank you very much. That's how Wall Street works. Because you can't watch all the stocks. You can't follow all the news. I have the people on MMTLP keeping me up. I'm not searching, looking for information about that anymore. It's always posted for me, and I can see that people are doing stuff, and I can understand what's happening.
Felix is asking, if you buy the shares today, will you get the forward split? Felix, the thing is, it'll just start trading at whatever this is, $15 tomorrow, whatever day tomorrow. Your shares aren't going to trade in a vacuum pre-split. So yes, if you buy it today, you're going to get the forward split. It doesn't really matter though. If the stock goes up, you're going to make money either way. But yeah, this isn't a dividend. This is just
a gift.
Yeah, it's just
rearranging your price. It's rearranging the price. That's all it's doing.
That's all it is. So yes, if you buy shares today, you'll by definition have the forward split. Everybody will. It's just the fact. Candace Morrison has 17 cents in her account.
We can't even get on the subway. Again, I'm not looking to sell things that I'm down to jump into other things. So, for example, let's say GDC starts to run. All right, I'm just not going to sell it till I'm over my price. I'm just going to stay there. It's something that, you know, I'm not going to give up on something I believe in right now. So everything else I have is where am I going to sell it? I'll be losing on everything. So again, I would only sell it if it became profitable for me, and then I would make a decision to move or buy more. But that's about it.
206.99.
What?
That's the last trade on GDC. $2.06.
Oh, stop repeating that. I told you, don't bring it up again. When the other one goes, the other one, I believe the other one's going to follow. That's it. That's my opinion on it. Based on what I know, what I hear, That's what I know. That's it.
That be the
People want to accuse me of saying I'm talking about this stock versus a different stock. I talk about all stocks. I watched NVIDIA. How come no one's talking about NVIDIA? I said to buy it at 450. It's 660.
B, today you're buying the stock at $260. Possibly tomorrow you'll be buying it at $13. So it doesn't matter when you buy it. It really doesn't. You're not going to be left out. They're not going to leave you with one share at $250 while everyone else has shares at $12.50. You're going to get your stock either way. Don't worry about it. If you want to buy it today, you can buy it. Buy it tomorrow, you can buy it then. It's not a dividend. It's just I don't know what to call it. It's a renumbering of how many shares are outstanding. Doesn't matter when you buy it. So
anything else?
I think what we're waiting for is one director to pick the day, and then we'll know. My guess is it'll be Monday. Your friend is saying that the Chinese government should order all Chinese trades to be settled immediately. And then
I tried to get into the Chinese government through a friend who's got great connections, and they said it's not possible. That was the answer back. I tried.
I've tried so hard, my dear, to show. All right. There aren't really any more questions.
Well, again, everyone, listen, again, I'll recap all the names. GTII, I don't have any FU money to buy it. I'm waiting for news to light the candle. What's the news? Alpine going to jail. The Kramers getting arrested. The SEC forcing the issue. MMTLP exposing the problem there. There's multiple things here. The Secret Service. For those that don't think I did anything, I gave the Secret Service information on GTII. Did you do that? Does anyone else do that?
Apollo
No.
Creed just died.
Did he really?
Yeah. Adrian.
I've done everything possible to expose this crime. The SEC is a disgrace for letting these guys continue to manipulate the stock all the time. I can't stop that. All right? That's just the way it goes. All right? But I've done everything possible. We're waiting for something, a sign from the heavens that tells us it's time. And at that time, I will sell my kidney to go buy more shares. That's what I got. If anyone wants to buy a kidney when it's ready for sale, I'll let you know. ZJYL, who the hell knows what's going on here? I'm just talking about a stock that's doing a forward split. The short is huge. Does it work? Does it go to the moon? I hope it works for everybody. I do not own it. I'm sorry that I'm talking about a different stock. If you don't like me talking about different stocks, we'll have the GTI call at 11 o'clock tonight. I'll talk for 3 hours and put you to sleep. All right. Finger motion. What am I talking about? Finger motion. I've been following it since 2018. The CEO was just at the conference. We saw him. He gave William a great interview. You got the same information. We all got it at the same place. There you go. We all watched it. Watch it again and get yourself educated on it. That's it. GDC, I know zero. I know the symbol is GDC. That's it. The people, my friend bought 1 million shares of it. I believe he's in the other one too. And when one goes, the other's going to go. That's my extent of it. Do I win, lose, the draw? I'm rolling the dice. It's like a casino. I'm there. That's it. Those are 4 stocks that I follow. That's it. Any other questions after that? You can ask me any questions off of that. I think I covered it all. If I'm supposed to guarantee you winners, then, there's no way I can do that. Anyone that says they guarantee you winners, they usually get arrested by the SEC for lying and fraud. That was Bernie Madoff, right? That was Bernie Madoff's thing.
Yeah. It is.
ZJYL, I just did it up. It's 250 and 01 cent bid. Who in their right mind would bid 250 and 01? The only person who would do that would be a short because there's a buyer at 250 and they can see it. So they're standing in front of you by 1 penny. So if anyone's on the phone trying to buy it at 250, the short's standing in front of you at 250 and 1 cent. That's how they do it. If anyone wants to know how that works.
So Peter Sachs says he agrees with you, Pam. He can feel how this is coming to an end. This will make history when the dam starts to crack on them. Sit tight, everybody.
Well, listen, it's tough because people are down and people are crying, and I can't do anything about to stop the bleeding. I got it. But I look at it this way. Rum was down to $3.19. I was talking to the CEO, and that stock turned on some news, and it ripped to $7, $7.50. It ripped the other way. See how it turns on a dime on some news, an event, something? That's what I'm looking for in all these names. And finger motion, we just got it. Williams Video just gave me the event that I believe that's going to turn this thing and make it go back up again. It's right there. I look at it. If you watch that video and you come away from it and you are not thrilled about what the CEO is saying, then you should sell your stock. I happen to be thrilled about what the CEO said, and it's right there. Just listen. They only have 5% of the market as of today. There's 1.5 billion people there,
which is amazing.
And it just is amazing. Companies want to.
Well, the other thing he said, if you listen, they are only aligned with major companies. I mean, the companies they're aligned with in China and bringing into China are all huge.
Well, that's what I've always said. That was, to me, is the biggest thing. When they landed a deal with Pacific Life Free Partnership, it hasn't turned into the financial, windfall we all thought it would be. But it takes time. He's building out the databases. He says it right there. It takes time to do that. And he said it right there. Munich Re, they're working with the actuaries. Am I correct? That's the word he used? I can't remember. Is that the word?
Yeah, he's first said scientists, but they're actuaries. And
So
that, to me, that's exciting. They've built a laboratory and they've staffed it with scientists, which are actuaries from those two big reinsurers and Finger Motion's own people. And they're in stage 2. When they get to stage 3, which as I recall is going to be this year, it's the next fiscal year, they're going to be monetizing it. They're already on the verge of monetizing that. I just
this has been going on 3 years of this stuff, and they're at the point now where they're going to turn it into a monster business. So why wouldn't I want to stay around to see that? I suffered through the whole thing. I might as well stay here now, right? That's how I look at it.
Well, the insurance industry in the United States and in Europe is a mature industry. It's mature. It's not mature in China. I just think that's an amazing growth story there. Not Legal Advice points out that the big new unannounced project that he mentioned sounded promising. And he mentioned that could be announced in Q1, which is just started. Q1 for them just started in February.
So again, listen, you make your own determinations. All the information's there for you. I can't help you with that. I gave you my opinion on it. I've been following it a long time. The CEO, to me, is the real deal. And I enjoy watching him. And you know what? I've got my ass whooped from 7 down. My friends have gotten their asses whooped. My friends put millions of dollars in this company, and they own it north of 5.
Well, so, and that was the mood in the room of people. There were some people who were Chinese there and others, but that this is a gold mine, so to speak. That the relationships Finger has and the potential in the growth of revenues. This is a stock to hold for a long, long time. Yaba is mentioning they announced the Daji app when they had 200,000 users and 12,000 partner shops. He thinks that's going to be big. The Daji.
Well, he said that they were going to have add-ons onto that they're doing it now. So again, listen, do your own research on it. It's very easy. Williams, you could take notes, then read the press releases of what they're doing, jot it down, and that's how you make a long-term investment. I was not a long-term investment guy. That's not my thing. I'm a short-term trader. If I can just buy things and flip them and make $3,000, I'm good. Give me $3,000 a day, $15,000 a week, and I'll see you later. I changed. I didn't want to do that anymore. Then I decided I was going to fight the naked shorts, and that's what I've been doing. So again, I did everything I can, and that's all I can say. If anyone's got a gripe, go to the SEC, show them everything you're saying, what we're saying, show them, knock yourself out. Just do me a favor, take a picture of the truck. See if we called out the SEC. Do I need to put the truck out there anymore? I put it up there 1,000 times. The top stock on the truck has been GTII for years. For years, I've been calling it out. Years. And for people having the nerve to yell at me that I'm saying something else is ridiculous.
I can't afford to be made to look ridiculous.
So from now on, William, we're going to have a call. I'm going to call you up. You're starting
to sound like me.
We're going to have a call just for GTII, and that's it. No more. I'm not talking about any of the stocks. I'm going to have it the GTII hour, and we're going to talk about it, and that's all we're going to talk about. All right? I'm going to be super positive on it and tell you I'm waiting for what? An event to tell you the race is on. There have been many events. When GTII came out with the news from the NSCC and the DTC and the SEC and FINRA that they busted Alpine, naked short the stock, that was an event. When the company did their dividend, that was an event. What was the outcome of the event? The brokerage firms lied, put IOUs in your accounts. What does that have to do with me? We expose it. What does a special dividend do? It exposes the crooks. MMTLP is nothing but a special dividend. And look at the mess that is created. Look at the mess it's created.
That's exactly right. It had the advantage of being an unexpected situation, but you're exactly right.
I wish the SEC would have shut down GTI when it was going. They should have shut it down and said, let's see what's going on here. Then everybody would be screaming for a year, oh, I can't get out, I'm stuck. And we would sit here and have to wait till they figured it out. But the SEC didn't shut it down because there is no fraudulent activity. And we have to wait because the brokerage firms are committing fraud. They kept letting it go on. Because if they shut it down, they exposed themselves. So they did the honorable thing and let the crooks keep shorting it. That's what they did. Instead of fixing it, they allowed that to continue.
You got it.
That's it, my friends. Listen, have a great weekend. I'm sick of doing it. I did everything I could tell you. You know, again, I watched
Is the Super Bowl this weekend?
No, next weekend. I think it's next weekend.
Somebody asked what your prediction is for the winner.
Well, Ace is a 49er fan, and I hate that stupid fucking hat. I hope Kansas City kills him. I don't know. I could care. He's a good guy. I hope he wins. Whoever was cheering for whoever, I don't care. I have no interest. I just want to go bet Djokovic, $20 on Djokovic to win the French Open.
I did that. I bet on it.
You bet $20 to win $20.01. That's what you're going to win as the favorite.
It was 210. I don't remember.
I hope you win. Now we all can watch the French Open. Hopefully William can win the French Open on his bet.
So do you hate that Ace's hat or Taylor Swift more?
I told you I used to speak with Taylor Swift's dad. I told you that.
My friend's son dated her.
Did he really?
Yeah, he walked up to her and asked her out. He's cocky, good-looking kid. Hey, you know, but it's before she got famous.
Well, his
But she
dad-
might
her
have
dad
written
worked-
her first album about him.
I used to speak to his dad with my friend Joe in Pennsylvania. He was a money manager. And he got on one day and he sent us a box of all kinds of signed stuff and tickets for her first show. It was at the in New Jersey at the Meadowlands. And she opened up for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. She was the opening act. That was her first concert. She opened up for them. And my girls went there with my wife, and they lost all the stuff that she sent, which probably been super valuable these days. But yeah, I used to talk to the dad, and he said my daughter signed a contract, and a big record contract, and she's gonna be famous. And because I don't know how she wrote the songs, we never left Philadelphia, and she was writing those country western songs. He didn't know how, but that's that. Whatever it is. Anyway, listen, everyone, have a good weekend, and I hope I answered whatever I could.
You did
and,
great. Appreciate it very much.
All right, go take your dog for a walk. Go take a break, William. You've been on for too long. You go take a break, and everyone go enjoy your weekend. I'm telling you, take a break. We've been doing this a long time. If I'm tired, you got to be tired.
This guy's telling you to go play some pickleball and get over it.
I wish I could go out. It's cloudy and rainy in New York today, and I'm not looking to take my towel and dry the whole court so I can play. But I wish I could. Anyway, listen, have a great weekend, everyone. And if I hear any news, I'll be the first to report it back to everyone. All right?
Thank you.
You got it.
Call ended.
All right. So thank you, Brenda, for your donation, which seemed to set off a waterfall of donations. And thank you to everybody who donated. I tried to highlight names, but first I was on the space call, then Ham called in. I couldn't thank everyone verbally, but I do appreciate it very much. And thank you to Brenda. I'm looking to see what comments are here. Hamster. I am a little bit tired, so I don't know what else I can really offer on any of the topics. We can go through some of the prices. I do want to tell you, I think CAUD, which is really cheap now, 72 cents. I think the CAUD is coming into a season, let's call it. In other words, not necessarily 1 week, but several weeks of good news. As I have started saying, it's not the house, it's the mortgage. Unfortunately, I think Aubrey Advisors hung them out to dry, but I think that might be over with now. And I think they have a great CEO. And if they can announce revenues and get to profitability, I think you could see a new story. I just bring that up. You know, I'm not focusing on it. The CCTG, I'm not telling you to buy it or anything, but I saw it this morning. Today, right now, it's trading at 485. Yesterday, when it broke the $4 offering price, I didn't say it, but I thought it, because I'm not interested. But just as a lesson is when there's an IPO and it breaks the price, typically the green shoe and the investment banker will bring that stock back up through the offering price, because they want to tell their corporate clients that every deal they do is up, and their institutional clients, which is their lifeblood. They don't want to have a loser. So anyway, my point is, for those who are fleet of foot, that sometimes can be a quick day trade. And that's what happened. You could have bought it yesterday, make a buck, and sell out today. But anyway, that's just potential in the future. Logic is 3 cents. I think it's a screaming buy. This HNRC is under 3 cents. DBMM is 0.0022. I'm not going to mention this other one, but it got down to $1.16. ZJYL 245 even, 250.06 by 280, and then GDC 202, 198 by 205. And I guess we can go through finger 239 up 9 cents, and GTII down 2 cents at 23.82. He needs to talk to Xi. Is Xi a new gender word? Instead of saying he or she, you say Xi? Not too many years ago, when dreams were coming true. Hang on.
Call from Andy.
Hello? Yeah, I'm still on. All right. While you're on, I'm going to go take a leak.
Been buying the $3 calls like
Start again.
We always look for a sign from somewhere that what's going to make a stock go back up. And I haven't been watching the options. Someone bought in the last couple of days like 3,500 of the $3 calls, but basically you're worthless. You know, if you're going to take a shot, you buy 200. You don't buy 3,600 of them or 33,000 of them. I don't know when they expire. I have no idea. But if you want to take a look at it, on February 16th, they expire. So they've been buying the $3 calls for February. February 16th option expiration. That's the only ones that actually have any volume in it. And that's what they've been buying. So again, that's a sign from the gods that something's going on there. That's how I look at things. You look for a sign. What's the sign? Do I know anyone who bought any? I don't know anybody who bought one. All right. I know people buying the stock. That's all I know. But again, that's it. But that's a sign. That's what I'm looking for in GTII. I'm looking for a sign from something, either the company acquisition. I'm looking for the SEC, FINRA, MMTLP, which I think is going to be the lead, the Secret Service, the FBI, somebody to start the ball rolling there. That's the sign I'm looking for. And someone said that I said this was the best setup ever. It is the best setup ever, but I cannot enforce it and light the fuse. It has to come from the regulators. We've thrown all the money we can at it. Okay, so why chase it up if they're not going to enforce it? All right, this is a different company than the other companies. Okay, this company is being abused. All right, that's why I came back on, because it was burning me up. All right, it is the best setup. It's been going on for years and they haven't covered a share. All right, but this has to come from a higher authority, not from me. All right, I'm done. Have a good weekend.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Call ended.
All right, I don't see much more there. So I think what I'll do is sign off unless you have some questions. I don't really have enough to talk about to go to the close. And I'm not sure the prices are going to change that much. Because it's a weekend. And I'm going to eat my mandarin orange. So I think I might just sign off. Didn't really have lunch. And what was interesting at this conference, I'm going to see, we'll talk about this, Ring Energy. It's a little bit incestuous with Torchlight, believe it or not. So anyway, we'll we will catch you guys on down the highway. I wish everyone peace, love, and happiness. Remember to pray for peace, particularly the children of the world. They don't deserve grown-up wars. And you know, I appreciate everybody listening. We'll see if we can maybe have a liquidity event here. If I had to choose one, would you invest in GTI or Finger? Depends, Nunya, on your goal, but I would pick Finger. I would pick Finger. Yeah, I would pick Finger, but you can own more of GTII, right? But I think things can change pretty dramatically in Finger. So, sorry, in in Finger, both of them, they can change pretty quickly. But I really would do Finger if those are the only two choices I have. Thank you, June. Take the highways. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Jenny L. We haven't heard from her. So let's say some prayers over the weekend if you think of it for Jenny L. And Mark, I'm not going to talk about another stock because my computer is freezing. And I really do thank everyone. We will catch up on down the highway.